Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to some more Faceit League action. The last week of the regular season before we head into playoffs for all of our regions. And hey, Dax, we have a pretty important game here tonight. Extinction taking on YFP. And hey, both these teams already in a pretty good position so far, but this game right here, this big win, this is essentially a playoff locking game for whoever wins this one. This will put them in the 9-win territory, put them in the penultimate position of being able to be in that top 8, and from then, the only worry for them will be where they end up seated.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you look at the standings right now. These are the two teams that are sit 6th and 7th in the standings right now, both having 8 wins, like you said. Extinction, though, playing one less game, have 3 losses compared to YF.
Yeah, no, it 100% could. This is a pretty important sequence, all things considered. But obviously, we'll get a little more into those games as they keep going on throughout the night, because those games are pretty determinant on if certain games matter or potentially matter more or less later within the rest of the week. Some of them are going to be very important for seeding. You have some very high teams that are trying to keep collecting more of those wins. You have a Nightmare team that is trying to bounce back after a surprising 3-0 loss last night to Kintsugi. And now that loss to Kintsugi puts a couple teams in a really rough situation, Shikigami included, who has to try to beat that same Nightmare squad tonight. But of course, we're focused on Extinction and YFP. It's a big game for both of these squads. Now, obviously, whoever loses this game isn't exactly in a terrible situation, but it is YFP that you are potentially a little bit more concerned about. They still have some tough games left on their schedule, and obviously, you don't want to go on that downhill trend that we have seen a time or two teams be in that situation at the end of the season previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at YP's remaining schedule after this Extinction game. They still have Dreamland currently sitting as in that 2nd seat in the standings. Technically should be 1st, but Nightmare has one more win at the moment right now, so that's why they're still 1st. And then they ended with Iliad Artemis, who at one point this season, Hunter, was one of those teams sitting at the top of the standings. Now they're hoping for a little bit of a miracle here, as they still statistically have a long shot chance of making it in, and the only way they do that is, well, they have to win out and also get a lot of help here. So YFP still does have a tough schedule following them up here. Same thing could be said for Extinction, but me and you both believe that there's definitely one game after tonight that Extinction should at least be the heavy favorite in here. But maps are starting to be selected here right now. These two teams, I mean, me and you have seen these two teams a lot throughout the season. They've always brought us a lot of good games, a lot of great plays come out from a lot of these players here. I think this is going to be a very, very close matchup here tonight, like you said, with a lot on the line, as winning basically locks you into the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And we have seen both of these teams be very impressive throughout the season, specifically Extinction, who was the first team to get a win off of that previously undefeated Nightmare team just, I believe, like a week ago, as a matter of fact. And since then, obviously, Nightmare has not quite looked the same, but obviously, Nightmare already locked into playoffs, as is Dreamland, so they are just focusing on trying to get that number 1 seeding, give themselves the best position possible. But with this game here tonight, we know we're going to be starting on Nepal to get things going. And to be fair, looking at both of these rosters, from what we've seen over the course of the last couple seasons, these are 100% playoff caliber players and teams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Extinction, they've been a very good team for the longest of time. Even as Elements of Harmony last season was a very, very good team. I believe one of the top teams, and even a good playoff run is there. YFP, they've had a couple names in these past couple seasons, but this is still a really, really good team when you look down the line here. So, I mean, the fact that these two teams are really fighting for playoff spots right here is not necessarily a surprise, but the fact that these two teams at this point right now in the season aren't locked in, I think might be a little bit of a bigger surprise for both of them here. But hey, like we've already kind of mentioned, both these teams have the opportunity to lock themselves in tonight with a victory. When, you know, the other one, whoever loses, still has a chance to lock themselves in maybe in their next game, as they still do have a couple more games left to go here. But like you said, Nepal, first map here, waiting on a ban to come out here. YFP will get our first ban of the night.
Yeah, we'll see. And I think we've slowly been falling back into the territory of certain heroes falling under that ban. I think things were pretty chaotic for a few weeks. That felt like, at least more so than usual. But I think with Vendetta being out for long enough, things are gonna slowly start falling back in place, especially with playoffs right around the corner. We had some of those dates, actually all those dates, announced just the other day for when all these players are going to be going at it as well. And it won't be that long from now, all things considered. So obviously you want to try to lock things in and above all else, finish as strongly as you can, because we have seen teams that, again, they fall off towards the end. They don't have a great playoff run. We've seen it vice versa as well. Teams manage to finish strong and finish even stronger in the playoffs. But YFP trying to do the exact same thing here, as Sojourn is going to be that first ban.
Yeah, it took a little too long, I would think, to get that first ban in. I think with 2 seconds on the clock, that ban came in. But Soj, I think, is an incredibly good ban. I think it's an incredibly safe ban. I mean, we always talk about safe bans coming out on the support line. I feel like Soj is just a safe ban on that DPS line as well. Good movement ability, good abilities as well. Good primary fire. Railgun still very, very strong at all points, and ever since Soj just came out here. So not necessarily a shock to see Soj be banned out here. But this also leaves still Vendetta there. Me and you have seen a lot of Vendetta on this map in the past, especially in North America. And we've really seen the teams that have been able to excel with Vendetta on Nepal find a lot more value than teams that try to stick maybe with something pre-Vendetta's launch on this map.
Yeah, 100%. We saw a little bit of silliness with that day one release of Vendetta coming through. I'm pretty sure that pit on Sanctum ate at least 2 different Vendetta players at one point. But everyone's gotten very consistent about it as of late, and it's been very impressive seeing that level of play and seeing the combination of some of these ults as well. You see people kind of throwing together things like the Graviton Surge. I even saw a Terra Surge into one the other day, which was kind of crazy. Who knows if we'll see something like that. But we are just waiting on that second ban to come through here for Extinction, who, all things considered, got their ban out there, as we're going to see if these lineups are going to change at all. Both these teams do have full rosters in the lineup, and we have seen that YFP team move around a little bit. We've seen Micah come in quite a lot to play that Bastion, and that Bastion has become a fixture for quite a couple of teams.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. Me and you have been talking about Bastion a lot here lately, considering in the past, Bastion was kind of seen as maybe one of those jokey picks, maybe one of those picks you bring out when you're really dominating a team, just maybe, rub a little salt in the wound there. But no, Bastion finding a lot of viability right now, which is really, really interesting to see. And me and you have talked about a lot. It's because of how much damage Bastion can put out in such a short amount of time. Turret form is very, very scary. Unless you have someone on the other side that can deal with Bastion in that form, you normally just see teams kind of back up and give space away. That's why Bastion's starting to get a lot of that playing time right now. And still, grenade from Bastion, I think a lot of people forget how strong that grenade truly is.
It is incredibly strong in those situations, especially some teams end up pairing up with something like the Baptiste. Having that go through an ant matrix and hit you dead on, there's nothing you can do. There's no level of healing that'll save you from that situation. We've seen it happen to kind of multiple people in the past, and all things considered, it could happen here again tonight, because we know at the very least YFP very comfortable running that Bastion Micah. We've seen it a couple times, and it has worked out pretty much every time that we have seen it. But timer starting to get a bit low again. These are full rosters. They want to make sure they have everybody in place ready to go for this game, because again, it's still a really important one, because if you win this, you're fully in the clear. You're not in a terrible spot if you lose this, but you're still in the woods at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one big thing we talk about throughout the night. Like we already mentioned, playoffs are not far ahead. They are clearly in view of the driver's seat here. So a win here tonight, like you said, locks them in. A loss really starts to put you in that area where, like, hey, you desperately need to find a win here in these coming series, especially as some other teams are looking to try to keep their hopes alive. But one last touch on that. I believe me and you truly believe that the only team that's still left that has a shot is Shikigami. Granted, they are going up against what might be the angriest Nightmare has been all season long here tonight. So if Shikigami comes out on top of that one, I think there's a lot more questions than answers we get from both those teams after that one there. But let's focus back in on this one. D.Va being the second band coming out here on Nepal. Interesting in my opinion, but I think it's actually a good move. You see a lot of teams really play D.Va on something like Village, being able to fly up to that high ground around point to try to control that. But a lot of times you've seen, me and you, Hunter, have seen in the past, a lot of teams kind of gravitate straight towards the Sigma on this map, especially for maps like Sanctum and the other map, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. But you normally see people kind of hover around the Sigma, very viable, very strong on this map just in general. I think Sigma actually right now, not necessarily getting enough talk for how strong they currently are or truly are. It's really fun to see a lot of teams playing him. But outside that, you can see Ramatra, you could probably see Orisa come out here, maybe Doomfist, Wrecking Ball. However, we're not watching Emote down mid, so I don't think there's a big chance of that, but there's always a chance.
There's always a chance, and that is the thing, especially when you have rosters that are this flexible. It just tends to happen in situations like this. And the flexibility isn't even because they have 8 players in the lineup. It is because of the main 5 that we see a lot of time, especially over from Extinction, that it feels like we see these 5 in essentially almost every single map. We have seen tools a couple times in the past as well. But no, I'm extremely interested to see what happens. We're just waiting for a couple people to get in. These lineups not looking any different than they normally do. We talk about that DPS line and how much flexibility there is for YFP. We see Jeremy coming in, and Jeremy, we have seen done some impressive things, especially previously on the Sojourn, and more recent times, that Vendetta. We'll see if it has any impact in this first one as we're ready to head into Nepal.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be starting off on, I believe this is Shrine, right?
Yeah. Correct.
And it's going to be interesting to see what we see come out of these two teams. Because like I said, Sigma has kind of been strong here, but it's definitely the one map where you can still necessarily get away with playing dive if you truly want to try to force that out here. Remember, D.Va banned out, so you have Winston there. You still have Hazard. However, I feel like me and you have really started to see Hazard kind of dissipate in the recent couple weeks with playtime here. But out of the gate, looks like it is going to be the Zarya come out here for YFP. On the other side, hey, like I said, there's a chance we see the Wrecking Ball. However, I feel like Pella's kind of messing with us here a little bit. But outside of that, I mean, Sojourn banned out, so this is kind of what I thought we would see on the hit scan line. Cassidy for YFP. Honestly, Freya, I feel like is a very interesting pick right now. Always a lot of damage can come out for her here, but I think paired up with Pella on this Wrecking Ball, you're going to see that Freya necessarily find a little bit more value than what you truly could expect coming out from it here. Jeremy, though, going over that Vendetta, like I said, not banned out, so you're definitely expecting to find a little bit more value here, and you're pairing up nicely here with Maria on that tank line. You're going to be able to really allow Jeremy to play as aggressively as they want here, but Regine, already very low on health, kind of has to just peel away here for a quick moment.
Yeah, the bright side for both teams here is, especially for Extinction, is that there's not a single character outside of maybe Social that can realistically just be sped on. But at the same time, this means it's really hard to group together as easily if you are in a situation, if you are Extinction, trying to zone in on somebody. But at least for the time being, they're slowly trying to get this tap away right now. Mari already has a lot of healing as Lambit trying to nail somebody with the direct rockets, but it's so tough when Mari's just standing in front of you with those bubbles ready to eat all that damage. But Jeremy is the first to be taken down, and that is going to be the call to move in, take the aggression, and it's working out beautifully right now. They're going to be able to finish things out in time. Regime and Mari just trying to stay alive, but this feels like an inevitability.
Lambit will be, I think, the only one that really falls throughout this fight here as Pella takes care of Mari right there, and Extinction can get the first fight here going their way. A very long, drawn-out fight. You're already seeing some swaps come out from YFP. Jeremy immediately getting off it, going over to the Tracer instead. I like this a little bit better here for them, especially with Pella on that Wrecking Ball. I don't think the Vendetta was necessarily going to find that much value, especially with the backline as mobile as what you're seeing come out here from Extinction. I mean, Hunter, me and you don't see a lot of Iari, but Social is definitely one that's not afraid to use it, and you've already seen them find some value here pretty early on. That's one scary thing you always have to remember with this Iari. They are essentially a sniper on this support line here, and that is one thing you have to learn early. Jeremy already being punished out yet again. And Hunter, just look at this. YFP kind of just has to sit back and wait, but Extinction not going to allow them to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no reason to allow them to. You want to keep pushing them back as much as you can. You're coming up to 4 of these ultimates as well, but of course, it's the same story right now. You look over at Extinction. They're going to have all 5 for that matter. You want to get somebody out here early and kind of open up that door, but it's going to be the captive sun ready to go. Everyone's trying to hide away. It's going to get at least one person. We do have the cleanse there, though, so it's not going to find a whole lot still. Them and Asha's both going to be gone. This thing is dusted just like that as Regime caught the tail end of that sun going away, so that's going to be a clean fight for them right there. Now ultimates galore for both sides.
ultimates galore for both sides. I mean, you're gonna have a full house ready to go for YFP, and only the one used there in that last fight gone for Extinction. I mean, Hunter, right now, you're seeing an Extinction team that's kind of just controlling the space, controlling the momentum of this game. Just the Captain Sun itself forced YFP into a small room, and with this composition you're actually seeing come out from Extinction right now, they love that. A lot of burst damage possible on their team. Pulse Bomb, though, finally finds the first pick there for YFP as they desperately try to get something going towards point.
Yeah, everything being kind of thrown out here. Deadeye hoping to get at least one target. It's going to keep everybody off, so point flip will come through at 93%, but see the mines coming through. It's going to separate a little bit more of this squad as Lampet trying to find somebody. Unfortunately, going to die out going for that barrage. Things getting very chaotic, but with Temp going off the side, things I think are potentially starting to fall apart here for YFP as Mari has a grab ready. It needs to be used on the proper person, though, but it looks like with Jino going down, it's going to be Extinction hitting the reset button.
Yeah, they're going to need to right there. 8 ultimates used in that fight there by both teams, 4 for 4, and if you're YFP, everything worked out for you there. Hell, the fact you're holding on this grab now puts you in a really good spot to be able to kind of just rotate and cycle through some of your ultimates here, be able to build them back up, because you look at the other side, Social's the closest one there, but there's so much cleanse and just ability on the other side and necessarily not have to deal with the Captain Sun much as Mari try and take it up at that front line there. Social on an off angle here for Extinction, but again, Pella's just trying to make space here. Social, though, finding one.
Yeah, and losing on Amari, that is rough. You lose your only ultimate, not just the only one even close, so you're trying to burn them away, and in fact, it's successful. This is where you go all out with the assault, and that Wrecking Ball Far is so difficult to deal with, and now Regime running away, needs to try to loop back around and get one more touch, is trying to do so, but there's a one person only close right now, and there you see it. Captain Sun's going to be thrown in, solo grab over onto Juno. It's going to cause some separation, but unfortunately, nobody is able to retouch first round. Heading over to Extinction, and most of that round was pretty dominant.
Very dominant. I mean, it was a very dominant round for them. Extinction kind of had YFP playing exactly where they wanted them to, and YFP really struggled to get anything going outside of a heavy ult fight. That was the only fight that YFP really looked comfortable in, and it really comes out. You could go back to, I think, the first fight. It was back and forth there. Extinction was giving away space because, hell, their competition really relies on being able to have some space. You have 2 DPS heroes here that have a lot of burst damage in with it, take aim shots from Temp on that Freya, and Lampet is playing Afar, which is a lot of burst damage just on itself here. So you're looking at that, just trying to find as much as you possibly can. Pella's there to clean up, and it worked out perfectly for them. They just basically killed YFP by death by 1,000 paper cuts in that first fight and never really let it go after that. However, you look at the other side now. Jeremy coming back out on the Vendetta. A little bit more of a favorable map here, but Pella, I think, might be in a little bit of trouble here right now.
Yeah, it's just going to be forced out. Obviously, you would love to hang around this mid area, but I think it's really difficult to do so as a Wrecking Ball. You want to go in and try to find some pressure, not just, though, going to get away momentarily. And Pella, I think, is going to have a little more difficulty on Sanctum compared to some of the other sub-points. In fact, at very least, more than trying. But as for the moment, they are starting to cap this point forward. You are starting to see Mari get that touch at the last second. Jeremy, though, is down early to Juno. So now this is a rough situation. You're still in a 4v4, so it's very much still winnable to some degree. And Pella doing their darndest to stay in this backline, stay consistent, and it's going to work out beautifully as it's just Regine hanging around in there. Jeremy and Mari hoping to do something. Unfortunately, this is going to come to an end swiftly.
And talk about someone who's had a really rough start, not only to this map, but considering it's been the entire series, Jeremy is 2-5 right now. They've always been one of the first people taken out of every fight here right now, while Pella on the other side, yet to die. And granted, playing Wrecking Ball, so a little bit more maneuverability and kind of the expected, not necessarily to die fast here, but Pella's playing really aggressive, and they have their DPS line up there helping with them. Also, you see Social taking another off angle here. I think that's what I really like from this Extinction team. Social's allowed to play off angles on the CR. They have that pylon there to heal them, and no one's really contesting them from YFP. I mean, normally in other compositions, Hunter, you would be seeing that ER be taken out almost immediately, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, you see Mari trying to go for that side angle, and that's fine, all things considered. You get rid of Juno, and that's cool, but now you're separated. There's no way you're retaining this charge. You managed to get rid of 2, which is fine and all, but I don't think that's really going to fully stop Extinction here.
No, Extinction, honestly, I think they're just going to stay up and keep this fight going. I mean, they're down 2 right now. Why would they back up unless they truly think that it's just smarter to do that here? But it looks like Pella might be dragging them back. Social and Lampet still up there a little bit, but eventually they're just going to fall back here as well. I do like this. Well, I would have liked the aggressive play coming out from them, just trying to maybe force something out there from YFP. I like the regroup here, especially with everyone back with the mines and the barrage out from Extinction.
Yeah, nobody down yet, but unfortunately it's a rough situation. Somehow Regime stays alive, just barely avoids the direct rocket. Mario around the corner from getting that grab, and Contender Rush is thrown in to try to sustain here. It's going to force Pella out of the fight, who, by the way, pretty sure has yet to die yet, but with 75% on the board here, Pella is going to hope to maybe get one more touch, but instead, soft regroup here, as unfortunately Social taken out should put this fight to rest.
Pella yet to die, now being chased by 3 members of YFP here. YFP, though, back in control of the point. Noxious going to be able to shut down Lampet there. And this is someone who desperately needs to step up for YFP now. They've been, by far, I think, the best player so far for this YFP team. Has the most elims. I think they've been doing a really good job on this Cassidy ever since they made the swap over to it here. Or ever since they came out on the map. My bad. But they need to focus more on Lampet. They need to focus more on Temp, because those two are kind of just flying around, doing whatever they want here. And look, Lampet already gets some revenge right there.
Yep, grabbed me thrown in here. We're trading out at the time being with Juno and Noxious both dead, but Mario ends up getting hit with that Captive Sun, trying to stay alive. And in fact, it's not going to get blown up, but he's going to have to surrender the point momentarily. And now you're looking at last fight territory. You still have a beat and the Deadeye, so you're in pretty decent position, all things considered. But you see this Pella hanging around the point. Everyone else staying separated from each other. It's me down to Noxious to try to separate and get rid of somebody. At the very least, they said I should get them claimed to the point momentarily.
Almost gets the point right there, but they're just got to get rid of Pella, who has yet to die this map. Consumer Rush now out here from Extinction, beat out from the other side here as YFP looking for something here.
Yeah, Pella's going to go in one final time. He's going to slam down. We'll die for the first time here, and it's a great time to get that first kill right now. You're trying to secure some of these last kills, and that you will. 50% on the board. And while you do have a Sundering Blade, this is going to potentially come down to getting some of these key ultimates online first.
I mean, you also have Consumer Rush coming up here for YFP. You're in a good spot. You look at the other side, Barrage and Mines about to come online here for Extinction. Temp, though, very close to another bullet shot here. Goes over to a May instead. I like the swap here, especially if they're trying to get rid of someone, but the Sundering Blade gets taken out by Juno.
That is so rough to lose in that situation. Now, Mines are thrown out. Social is just off the side of the map. That's a little unfortunate, but this fight is still going forward. 80% about to be on the board. Noxious, though, is down. Regime is separated from the team. Barrage from Lampet trying to finish them off. And as a matter of fact, it's looking like it's going to do just that. It's just Salmon and Jeremy hanging around. Last one standing. Unfortunately, a touch here just isn't going to happen. So this is going to be a 2-0 here to get things started. Extinction starting in really good fashion. And to be fair, there's some really good fight back from YFP, but this Ballfar style has been really hard for YFP to mess with.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball Far style is something very hard to mess with, like you kind of said there, because it's, I think it's a really good pair, honestly. Don't see that often. Normally see Wrecking Ball pair with other kind of dive heroes, something like a Trace, or something like Genji, maybe something like a Vendetta or a Venture. But this Far plays right into it as well. A lot of burst damage really allows the Wrecking Ball to come in there, be able to roll through, get a pile drive down, and maybe only have to get a melee hit on them to really be able to clean up a lot of kills there. However, one big thing in that first map alone from Extinction was the contribution from that support line when it came to getting elims out there as well. Juno and Social, 26 elims combined. I'm looking over at YFP's DPS line, who only had 17 elims combined there. I mean, when your support line's being able to find that much value in the kill feed, you're normally going to be in a really, really good spot. And Juno and Social did a really good job at being able to play that aggressive playstyle perfectly with that. I mean, we saw from Social that entire map on that ERE, they were basically taking off angles, and YFP would not necessarily chase them. It was something very interesting, but with how Extinction was playing, it was probably the smartest thing to do there for YFP, not necessarily to chase the ER, because that Wrecking Ball could be there at a moment's notice. YFP, though, they did have fight back, but it was always a little bit too late for them to, and it normally did cost them a couple ultimates to get anything going.
Yeah, it did, and you saw a lot more of that fight back during when we went over to Sanctum, and I think that's because the point played a little bit less efficiently for what Extinction was trying to run, but they still found their way to break through it, make it happen. But this is where you have to think strategically if you are YFP, because obviously you have to think about what's going to be important to ban here. Where is it important to go to? And Dex, they decided the place to go to is going to be King's Row. It's still a very popular pick. Who would have guessed? But with the ban, this is the interesting part right here. The timer didn't run out. They have gone out of their way to pick Hanzo, which is interesting. This is, to be fair, this seems like they don't want to have their DPS messed with, and it's not an overreaction to the ball far that you just saw that I think is going to be a lot better on a lot of different maps.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Hanzo ban, not necessarily the worst ban here. You have definitely seen some teams in the past try to play Hanzo on this map. I think Dragons finds a lot of value on this map in particular because of the close corridors that the cart has kind of pushed through. Even though a lot of times you see teams take fights away from car on this map, Hanzo, I think, is a good ban, especially if you want your DPS player, especially your hit scan, to have something like that Soj that was banned out last map, something like the Cast, the Ash, the Freya as well. It's not the worst ban in the world here, honestly. It's an interesting one, like you said. It might be more of a protection one coming out here, but it's not the worst I think you could pull out.
No, I don't think it is either. And again, it's not an overreaction to what just happened. I think when we get over to maps potentially like Runasapi, or honestly a lot of these push maps, I think that ball/far is going to be much more effective over there, and you can kind of give or take how you want to go from there. But if you win this map, obviously, it's not fully up to you. Because you could decide to go out there and say, hey, let's ban the Sigma. You can't ban the ball, so you have to go to the Pharah. And at that point, Extinction's probably going to expect that.
Oh, absolutely. Here, I mean, you would have to fully expect that if you're Extinction here. But right now, again, going after the DPS line for YFP seems really interesting, considering I feel like a lot of Extinction's kind of success in that last map really came for that support line instead. But granted, they were playing a very interesting support line, that Kiriko and Iari, very interesting support line. You don't see it that often, especially you don't see Iari that often here. But Ramatra is going to be our second. Okay. Well, whenever the series gets taken off hold, Ramatra is the second ban coming out here. So again, kind of still a little bit known. Kings Row, you could always say, is a brawly type of map here. We have seen it kind of go away from that in the past. But getting rid of Ramatra, I think, is a really good idea here. It allows you to play some other tanks. You could definitely play Orisa. You could still play the Sigma. You could play the Wrecking Ball. You could still play a lot of options here now for these two teams. And if you're Extinction, I don't think this is necessarily a bad ban. It allows you maybe to still play that Wrecking Ball a little bit, because that Vortex does suck Wrecking Ball down to the ground, really prevents him from doing a lot there with that. So it leaves a lot of stuff open there for both teams and gets rid of maybe something that Extinction expects YFP to play.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll obviously see how things go from here with that. We'll wait until we see why there was a hole. One thing we can do really quick is we can do a quick check-in on a lot of the other games that we have going on right now, because literally every team is playing. I believe we already came off of, came off of our little hold there, which is nice. But some important games to note. Emote down mid, Amplify right now, Emote down mid won Ilios and is currently trying to take New Junk City now. But if we're talking about games I think are really important for the playoff picture, you're looking at Nightmare Shikigami, and at least for the moment, Shikigami did end up taking that first map away, and Shikigami right now trying to currently push through Shambali, which, to be fair, we saw the last time they played Shambali, and that was the heartbreaking, not heartbreak, I'm remembering the right game, right? Yeah. That's the one where, that came down to the absolute wire on that map 5. That was insane.
Yeah, I will say that. Just a quick thing. It was Nightmare that took the first map on that one.
Yes. I'm fairly certain.
Nightmare took first map. Yeah. You said Shikigami took it. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of important.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
A lot of important games going on right now. Nightmare Academy actually lost the first map to Kintsugi here. So Kintsugi trying to get the Nightmare sweep in 2 days right now, getting off to a really, really good start here. But looks like our lobby is finally open here, so we can get focused back in on this one right now. Looks like we're actually going to have a sub coming in here. 2Ls or 2Ls going to be coming in here for Pella after that first map performance by them. Especially with Pella playing that tank, kind of shows you that Extinction going to be playing a little bit of different composition here. Maybe the Wrecking Ball's not going to be the way to go. Maybe they're going to bring us something more, a little bit brawlier, potentially pokier. Sigma, like I said, could definitely be there. No Ramatra, you have to remember, so that's out of the way. So Pella coming in, necessarily not the biggest shock, because me and you did expect to see that at some point throughout the night. As for YFP, doesn't look like they're making any swaps here just yet. But honestly, if you're YFP, you can really not allow this map to get away from you here, or else the series might start to slowly get away from you as well, as your backs will be firmly against the wall.
And that's the last thing you want us to be down 2-0 this early within the series. But hey, we're getting ready to properly get into this one as, hey, Kings Row, you know it, you love it. We're heading into it. But as far as we're right now, we are going to have YFP going on the attack first and foremost. So what you see is what you get on the defense. Tool's going to be out over on that Zarya to get things going. Mari has that D.Va open back up, potentially going to run it. But to be fair, this is, from a lot of what we see here, this is a rather common thing that we have been seeing through King's Row and quite a couple of other maps that we're seeing here from Extinction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tools coming in to play that Zarya, kind of what we kind of expected. I thought maybe a little bit more brawly, a little bit more pokey. Looks like they're going the more brawly way with that Zarya. I like it. Lampet also showing us back the Vendetta. Did not see that from Extinction that first map. Going over to the other side, though, you have to remember, D.Va was banned out map number 1, so YFP immediately showing that here. Noxious, or hey, looks like they're just faking that. It's going to be the Zarya for them as well. Noxious looking for one shot before getting off over to the Soj here. And right now, again, I think for both these teams, it comes down to that Zarya and Vendetta playstyle here. Those bubbles going out onto them to really give them that charge, allow them to play, those Vendettas to play aggressively here. Which one finds the value here first? Lampet waiting in the wings for a perfect opportunity, while Jeremy already taking that frontline presence.
Yeah, you see Jeremy already trying to slip into that back line. You don't want to give up too much position. That's why Lampet is kind of hanging around these stairs. Doesn't want to leave an opening available to be able to move up and go for the big slice. Lampet gets spooked away. Honestly, would have destroyed Noxious up there if not for the fact. But you need to get that first pick in the situation right now. And Mari is the person you're most scared for right now, taking in a ton of damage, trying to get slashed away. But it's going to be Jeremy who goes down first and foremost. And now this starts to open up that door pretty quickly. You have the TPOA, and Mari, for the time being, just has to preserve all that charge.
And right now, Nox is kind of in a bad spot right here, as already Lampet trying to focus in on them. Bubble going out on the Nox, trying to keep them alive. Nox will be able to find temps. This does allow YFP to come back in here very quickly with all 5 members down. They find Social as well. This is going really good now for YFP.
Yeah, unfortunately, Juno and Tools are very unlikely to get out of the situation. You full run down Tools in the situation. You make sure they die, and I think with that death right there, everyone's going to come back, retouch, and I don't think there's a realistic route to contest this.
There's not going to be any route for them to contest, and I don't think it would be the smartest thing for them to try to recontest it either. It would just be putting them a little bit more behind the 8 ball here, because now they still have the chance to come out here and hold arches, which is for Extinction and this competition just in general, I think is a really, really good thing. But again, you're kind of looking for Temp to be able to find some value here pretty early on. Them and Juno will have their ultimates here pretty soon, but Salmon for the other side already finding that value. That support lines have been very key to both these teams so far throughout this series. Salmon getting a huge early pick.
Yeah, this is a really good start so far. Mari gets low, though. It's going to go down. Considering Rush is going to be given, and it looks like that realistically should be enough. Social is hanging around in the backline right now, and you have a little bit of help from Temp, but unfortunately, while they are going to pull into the Bolo, it's going to do nothing.
I have to imagine that's going to be a little bit, that was used there because they're making a swap. That fight was already way past over right there. Yeah, they're going to be going over to the Soj. So just getting rid of an ultimate that they had, maybe they find one pick, slow stuff down. But no, I don't hate the usage of it there, especially with the swap. But you look at the other side now for Extinction in a really, really good, I mean, my bad, for YFP in a really good spot here. Coming up to 3 good ultimates. Noxious, though, wants to do the first punch here. Finding one with his overclock goes a long, long way in this fight.
Yeah, 100% you have a Stunning Blade. Hang around the back if you are Lampet, who is found out a little bit right now. Is going to try to shut down Noxious, who's going to get the beat just in time. Lampet now has to pull out of there. Still has a Stunning Blade at the ready, trying to charge it all up. Wants to cut somebody down. Unfortunately, nobody at the ready. Noxious barely getting out in time.
Grab being used just on pulls here, and looks like they should be able to get them out. Actually, no, they barely stay alive, but Mari going to be able to find them there.
Yep, they're going to be able to hold on to this fight right now. You're going to lose out on Noxious and Salmon. He's going to barely stay alive, but you're able to stay alive, keep this cart slowly moving forward. But if Tools can get back with enough stall, I don't know. This is potentially winnable.
I think it's a little bit less winnable now that you lost your Juno. Social's still there, but they're not necessarily someone I think you want touching. Actually, check that. Social, no longer there. The cast curse is very much real. But Hunter, again, so far these support lines have been impressing me a lot here. Our Extinction on the first map did a lot to really help their team, and now YFP support line really stepping up here to help, not only with healing, but in that kill feed as well. Salmon right now, 11-0, really doing a lot here, not that far away from another Kitsune Rush. They are really starting to get something going here.
They 100% are. They have 4 minutes going through this point. Noxious now over on that Bastion, make things really interesting. But you see that grab coming through. It's going to pull 2 into that. it's unfortunately not going to produce many results right here. In fact, Lampett's the one to go down, and now Beat going to be used. The all-out assault. They're going to try to shut them down right here and now, but Kasuna rush directly back means you have no more response here. You need to run for the hills as Tools is going to be cornered, going to be taken out. They have to back out once more, and we're down to potentially one more fight.
The Beat being used to counter out the Kitsune Rush. Normally that's the other way around there, but it works out perfectly for YFP as now they are rolling this train, and I don't think there's any way that it could be stopped here by Extinction. Temp using their overclock here, looking for their first pick of the game. Haven't found it just yet.
Yeah, and now they're just going to go in with all the aggression. They use the grab, the beat, everything they have. 3:08 on the clock. That is supremely impressive. Only really not even fully losing a fight. They struggled a bit during the initial first touch on first point, but outside of that, they got through this really quick. 3 minutes is outstanding.
It's incredible, Hunter. I mean, you always talk about it. Finishing the map, hey, good job. Finishing with more than a minute, that was a good round there. 2 minutes, great round. Anything above 3 minutes is incredible. And me and you have seen a couple 3-minute time banks on maps on Kings Row only a couple times. That's how good that round there was from YFP, especially after what last map was for them, where they really struggled to get anything going. Truly only won about one team fight. You saw YFP actually wake up in this series, and man, do they look like a completely different team. Same thing, though, could be said for Extinction, who looks like a completely different team. The support line shut down time after time again. Tools coming in here hasn't been what we were expecting, and that DPS line of Temp and Lampet, while they were finding pick after pick last map, they were shut down. Like I said, Temp still looking for their first elim of the game. It's the second round. And outside of that, Lampet only has 2. I mean, you only have 3 deaths on the entire side for YFP after that round, right after that first round. They did an incredible job, not only winning fights, but being very consistent throughout it there. And now, if you're Extinction, you need to have some consistency of your own here. You desperately, I think, need to win a team fight here fast, or YFP is just going to keep this momentum up.
Yeah, and this momentum could be detrimental to the entirety of this, but already you lose out on Lampet. You try to go aggressive super early, and I don't hate that, really. But now Tools has to do almost the exact same thing. Runs in, gets rid of Mari, and now you can reset here with Tools and Juno if they can get out alive. And if that's the case, you get aggressive really quick here.
Yeah, and you should aggressive quick here. Temps should be able to get back in very fast, but without Mari there, look at what happens here to YFP. They have to just kind of back out, and if you're Extinction, I'm surprised you don't have more than one member on the point right now trying to get as many ticks as you possibly can.
Yeah, you're gonna probably get the second one online here, but now you're gonna have Mari who's gonna have to use these bubbles to get over on the point, but now no longer has anything left for the personal, so now you have to be careful as you run into the back of your Lampet. You're luckily kept alive, but now Jeremy picking away. You're at the 90% marker. You need to cut somebody down here desperately if you're Lampet. Everyone's getting low, and it looks like that's gonna be another quick finish here on the first point, and now they're gonna move forward. But the important thing to know, unlike last time where all of them got the forward spawn, nobody got it this time.
No one got it. I mean, that's a really great play there by Extinction. YFP, I mean, you can't blame them for not getting the forward sponsor. I mean, it was a fight, but Extinction just kind of dominated them there. Now Extinction back to the way they were playing back on that first map. You're really starting to see Tools come in here now after not playing that first map. Temp finally gets their first pick. Lampet gets going on this Vendetta. Everything's starting to work out for a little bit for them here. Lampet, though, doing a really good job focusing on that backline right now, as they are right now running for their lives from said backline, but they're at least causing a little bit of distraction, allowing that space for their team to come in and get set up in all these fights.
Yep, and you're about to have double consider rush being used here very fast as you see the use from Juno to find a little something. Already got rid of Mari, and Salmon is unfortunately going to throw it back, and this is going to be so tough to bring this fight back as Jeremy's still kind of hanging around inside. Unfortunately, there's just no amount of damage you're going to get out here, and now you still have your own grabber on the corner. Regime might not have to beat on in time to repel it.
Might not have to beat it in time to repel it. I mean, you have Lampet also with the Sundering Blade coming up here, and Noxious gonna give up give up there on the Soj, go over to the Bastion instead. Again, we've talked about before the series even started, the fact that we've been seeing more and more Bastion here. A good bubble popper here as you already see that grab come out.
And I like it. Use it preemptively. You don't even let a fight happen. You might trade out, but it literally doesn't matter. You have 5 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock here, even more than their opponents had going into this third point.
And right now, you already see Extinction pushing the gas, going forward, trying to take as much space as they possibly can. They do not want to slow down, Hunter. They have a little bit of a time bank lead here, especially if they can keep going with it. But this is the first time that we're really seeing the cart stop for a moment in time. But Mari finding a huge first pick.
Yeah, that is massive. You're trying to stop this bleeding just a little bit. You're hoping, but Mari goes ahead and gets rid of 2 in that whole process. You're gonna be able to stop this finally. And this is the first time that an attacker has like truly lost the fight so far in this map.
Yeah, and I mean, still, look at what Extinction's coming into this next fight with. 3 good ultimates. Granted, you're about to have all 5 ultimates ready to go for YFP, so you can see a huge ult dump fight coming out here.
Yeah, Lampet gonna get rid of Mari, the most important person you can get rid of. Beat is going to be here, though, so it puts everybody in a bit of a tricky situation, but Tools is going to be able to hang around, stay alive, keep all of that charge going in that cart. At the very least, can start rolling forward again.
I love the artillery coming out here now from Nox, just trying to build some space, getting members of Extinction off the cart. Already forced out the Suzu, it seems like there, so you could see YFP come back in a little bit faster tempo, trying to at least keep some space here using their overclock, but immediately gets shut down by Nox in that turf form. However, Extinction back in a good spot here with YFP, forcing them all into a corner.
Yeah, and now Consider Rush is going to be used here across the way. And now Jeremy needs to try to force everybody back with the Sundering Blade. Remember, Grab got forced out, so you managed to basically trade out ultimates, and now you're going into a very, very dry fight you need to try to win. And getting rid of Lampet, that's a good way to get things going right now. Noxus has got to come out here, deliver as much damage as possible, but is being cornered, burst away, 3.5 minutes still left. You have everybody still alive. You're trying desperately to keep Tools up, though. You lose them. You're going to retouch it now without all that damage. This fight's going to end quickly.
This fight's going to end quickly, and that was the only chance right there for Extinction, maybe. Wait. Lampet?
Good try there, I appreciate the attempt.
Good try there, buddy. See you next fight. But, I mean, that was the only chance right there for Extinction to complete the map with a bigger time bank. They still have 3 minutes to complete the map here, Hunter. So there is still good opportunities here for them to finish this round. But you look over at YFP. They have Beat. They have Grab. Not far away from Consumer Rush. They're in a good spot with Ultimate. Same thing could be said, though, for Extinction. Not that far away from the Overclock. Not that far away from their own Sundering Blade. But right now, you're looking for this dry fight victory here for Extinction, which they've been doing a good job with winning so far. But you're losing Lampet way before you wanted to.
Yeah, you basically can't do anything in this situation. Regime is going to have the Beat online for this next fight as well. There's a possibility of going aggressive with it. You're in a good position, but you can't forget there's still 2.5 minutes on that clock. There's still a very long way to go.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Regime's Beat. You could go aggressive, like you said, and still have that time to build up to another one here, or just hold back. There's no reason for you to go aggressive just yet. But they might be pushing that aggressive button anyway. Yeah,
it's definitely there. You're going to start pushing bodies back, but it's 50-50 right now. It's not fully in their control, especially if Lampet manages to track people down once again. Beat is going to be used here, and unfortunately, Notches is in ground zero for that one. Beat going to be thrown out by Regime, but unfortunately, it's not going to do diddly squat there. Keep them up momentarily, but there's too much damage to deal with. Regime forced into the corner, and 145 left on the board. We're looking at the stall game starting to come through here one after another, but Tev is hoping to help clear things out. Just a couple more bodies touching the point. A little bit of help with Noxus to stall things out there, but inevitably this will come toward its end, but it's only going to be about half of what their opponent managed to get.
Yeah, it's actually literally half of what their opponent got there. But hey, Extinction doing exactly what they need to do there. They had a response to what was a little bit of a lackluster performance on that first round. They came back really strong. YFP, though, finally was able to show us that, hey, defense does exist on this map, especially with that 3rd point hold there. Being able to knock down that time bank to what they did was really, really good for them, especially considering the fact that Extinction had over 5 minutes going into that final point push, which is an insane amount of time. That's just showing you how fast Extinction was going here. But I think this first point, especially defense for both sides, is going to be very, very important for how this overtime goes here, considering, well, it only really took about a fight last time for the teams to really cap that first point here. Coming out of the gate, though, you do see some members of a YFP kind of cycling through some heroes, getting those perks ready to go. Regime, I believe, was maybe the only one that I saw there, going from Moira over to Lucio here. Not necessarily seeing that just yet from Extinction, which is really surprising. I feel like you normally see at least a couple players go through 1, 2, maybe even 3 heroes just so they have some options here. But this is the only thing that we have truly seen this Extinction team play throughout this entire last 2 rounds here. So it's not necessarily that big of a shock, but normally you like to see a little bit of options there for them. But right now, again, I think you're really looking at those Vendetta and Zarya playstyle, those heroes or those characters, just to try to get as much charge as you possibly can. Because once that Zarya gets charged up, the Vendetta just seems to be able to find a little bit more power because more people are really focusing on the Zarya instead.
Yeah, you see immediate transition here as Temp just doesn't exist in this fight, and now that they're dead in the backline, you can survive if you want in here, but they can run, but there's not the. This is weird because now they're split in a really weird way.
But this is the worst case scenario for Extinction because they're split, and you can already see what's going on here. YFP is going straight after the people coming out of spawn. Extinction finally gets 1 member back, but now Temp might be in a living hell.
Yeah, Lampet's not exactly faring all that better. They do manage to trade out, though, which is honestly not a bad situation if Lampet can stay alive.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Temp. You doing him dirty like that, and he gets Mari as well. He's going to swap back out today at the shooting range, by the way, as you're going to get at least 2 ticks here. And is there a contestation, Dex?
I don't think there is. That wasn't a bamboozle, but Temp, I think, might have saved. There it is. There it is. Temp might have honestly saved their team's round here potentially just by being able to find those 2 picks, because that was going back and forth there. But right now, who's going to be the person that stays on the cart for Extinction? Looks like it's going to be Social here. However, you already do see YFP coming right back in and Noxious over on this bash and Lamp it out. Not necessarily the worst person to lose, considering that cart is right there next to spawn.
Yeah, remember, you just have to kind of hang around this cart, but they're not giving them any room to breathe right here. They are pushing very quickly, very directly. Remember, the longer this goes on, the faster that timer's going to go down. So Tools is going to be going on and off, over and over again, and force some kind of opening, but it's getting so low. It's being kept up, but there's so much damage going their way. It's incredible that they're still standing in this situation, but now you have Salmon who's going to have to consider rush on board here. Wondering whether to use it right now or save it for a moment later, but here it goes, trying to do so. But we're trading both ways. Regime going to have to be going to this fight as well. Tools needs to get this grab ready to go here. It's at the 99% marker. It needs to find at least a couple of targets. That it will. An important one. Grabs thrown out. Everybody closed in together, but it's going to the Extinction, falling apart one after another, trying to edge this thing forward any further. Unfortunately, it is just not going to be the case as Temp Lampet soon to fall.
They got it through arches, but that might not be enough. That 3-minute and 8-second time back might be the big difference maker here, and smart play coming out there from YFP to, like you said, they kind of pushed through arches. They were really betting on themselves there, and the bet paid off for them. I mean, if you lose 1 member in that fight, or 2 members in that fight for YFP, you basically give up arches, and you give up half, I expect probably half of the cart push towards that second point on that just one fight there. So the fact they won that helps them out a lot here. Good performance though by both sides. Temp showing us again you can be bamboozled in the year of our Lord 2026 here on King's Row. So you always have to be prepared for that. But still, I think if you're YFP, you're very, very happy with how that round went. Yeah, you would have loved to hold them there because now Extinction has their win condition. But you have to love where the cart is. You would have loved to keep it on the other side of arches because basically just a fight win on point would have guaranteed you probably the map win. But now you still put yourself in a good spot. And, I mean, Hunter, they're basically playing with the whole round here, the whole normal start round here. Yeah, it's 52 seconds less, but really that's about a fight, maybe a fight and a half. And with how these two teams have been playing, it's not necessarily the biggest, that necessarily hasn't been a problem here as fights have been very, very quick on this map. Mari, though, at least teaming us with the Diva, not going to be sticking on it, as expected. Going over to the Zarya instead. Again, watch out for those Zarya Vendetta combos. The fact that Lampet got taken out very, very early, or Tem got taken out very early last time, kind of slowed down what Extinction was trying to do. Even though they did get the bamboozle off, it really forced them to slow their entire roll in that last round.
100% did, but Jeremy goes down early, so that's a good a start as you can really hope for in the situation if you are Extinction. You want to move up to try to get somebody else, but by no means are you going to play risky here. You will take what you can get, and then you back up.
Yeah, and look at the support line that we're seeing here from Extinction.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so YFP has paused the match. Don't know why. But okay, a disconnect. So it looks like someone is currently DCing right now, and it's Jeremy. So just look at that support line right now for Extinction. Way different than anything we've seen them play so far. Wu Yang, Juno, a lot of speed with the coming out from that. You have the torpedoes on Juno being able to heal their team. Just the normal weapon for Juno, also a really good source of healing. But I think social on this Wu Yang is very interesting because you have that orb. You can probably put it on the tools, but you're really looking to put it on the Lampet and then hit them with the wave after to make sure they're always constantly being healed, because it allows them to really double kind of play into with the Zarya, where they can go aggressive, they can get the bubble, they have that orb on them, they get hit with the wave, so they get hit with the wave so that they get that extra little bit of healing. It really allows them to play aggressively. It also allows Temp, maybe a little bit further back, to be able to benefit off the fact that Lampet is playing so far up here. Juno as well, playing the Juno, has a speed rating to get them out, get them out of dodge here, especially with this composition. You have to be smart with your pushes. You cannot overextend here. One overextension might be the difference between them winning this map or them getting wiped in this round.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be very interesting how this thing goes down once Jeremy gets back in here. Obviously, better to DC near the beginning of a round than anything else. But hopefully we get Jeremy back in here momentarily. We can update you on some news in the other games going on. So we have one that has already finished itself up. In fact, we have two that have finished themselves up. Kintsugi are apparently the Nightmare Assassins this week. They take down Nightmare Academy in 3-0 fashion. Unfortunately for them, though, their brethren fare much better. Nightmare will take down Shikigami in 3-0 fashion and will essentially put Shikigami's season on the back burner, effectively.
Again, I don't think we can necessarily say that just yet. There could be a lot of stuff that happens in the last couple ones, but right now, Shikigami needing a miracle to make the playoffs here. But back in the game now, again, the support line for Extinction, I think is going to be the reason they either win this map or lose this map at this point. A lot of healing, a lot of damage can come out from them. Speed ring is going to be crucial in a lot of these engagements.
100%. Lampet gotta be very careful. Lampet has been caught out for quite a lot throughout the series. You see, trying to find the assassination is really good at just getting in and out as quickly as possible. But eventually that aggression might not pay off as intended. But Temp, hoping to move forward as you see the separation. Both Zaryas go down, which is honestly a really awkward situation. It's especially awkward here for Extinction, or I should say YFP, who are going to get their Zarya back way slower.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're Extinction, you are really hoping for the final next pick there, because YFP, they can just back up and regroup here, but the fact they just lost Jeremy's going to slow them down a little bit, allows the time now for tools to get back. And look, Hunter, that time bank slowly starting to get to the same point, but what did I say? You cannot overextend here. Lampet flew a little bit too close to the sun, and look at what this is going to do now for YFP.
And now the question is, what do you do? If you take a fight too late, you're going to get a ton of bad spawns, and you won't even know if you'll be able to contest one more time properly. So you're thinking about it, you're trying to see what you want to do here, but if they engage, it'll be incredibly risky. The question is, will they, won't they? And the question is, yes, they're going to go for it, move in, try to burn away somebody, but they're going to be forced back, and now Faceit Rush can force everybody into a rough situation. And honestly, if I'm this squad right now, I'm potentially giving up this point and trying to get everybody out alive. This is going to be so rough to pull back here.
Does Lampet know, though? Lampet getting blocked by the lamp somehow gets out.
Yeah, and this is rough, and they're slowly having to surrender this over. Tools is gonna go down, and that's worst case scenario. You just have to take this fight here. You have no further choice. You're gonna be able to tie things up right here, but it doesn't matter a ton as they're still kind of waiting to fight. The spawns are literally right there. This is desperation territory right now as Lampet goes down. Temp's your last touch here, realistically.
Temp's your last touch, but what can the Sojourn really do? Tools trying to jump their way here as fast as they possibly can, but Temp might just have to be a sacrificial lamb here. But who's going to be touched? I don't think Temp can get back in time!
Yeah, and this is the risk you take in this situation. YFP are going to tie up the series, and again, that's the call you make. That is an all-or-nothing fight you take right there. If you get those bad spawns, as you saw right there, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way you are getting back that fast to pull back that fight. But props to them for going in, trying to secure this thing right then and there, because you have no choice but to invest everything right there. They try, they do not succeed, but you see that fight back from them, and it proves why why both these teams are as successful as they are. They take these fights very aggressively. Might not always work out, but they're always willing to be the aggressor.
Oh, absolutely. I think in this kind of meta right now, you have to kind of be that. If you're the team that's always kind of waiting for the other team to aggress into it, you're already kind of putting yourself on a little bit of a back foot, unless you have some ultimates in your back pocket. Especially in dry fights, you want to be the aggressor here. And both these teams have shown a lot throughout the night. Extinction, really good on that first map, especially with that Wrecking Ball play style coming out for them. And a lot of that burst damage as well worked out for them. You go over to a map like King's Row, Wrecking Ball gets taken out there with Pella going over to the bench. Tools, it took them a little bit to get going in this map, but once they got going, they were really able to start equalizing there with Mari. But Mari, I thought, had an incredible map there. Jeremy, the stats will look weird, but they had an incredible map as well. And this DPS line for YFP, one that was very quiet. Remember, 17 combined elims in that first map. Definitely had at least 50, I would say, in this map here. So they stepped up. Same thing could be said for that support line as well, where that support line had a combined, what is that, 54 combined elims that map. I mean, again, going space was saying the same thing I said in the first map. If your support line can find value in that kill feed, you're going to be finding a lot of value everywhere else. In YFP, after a sluggish first map, bounces back. Extinction, though, did have their opportunities. They really did, but YFP was able to shut them down.
Yeah, they were, and you talk about how good those backlines are. There's a bit of a ban towards it to potentially weaken it a little bit. We did see the Zarya was that first ban. It's going to come out here for Extinction, but YFP clap back with the Wuyong being taken out here. So this is going to put them in an interesting situation, because no Zarya, no Wuyong. It's weird to think of what territory we're going to fall into with that being the case. With by the looks of it, Pella coming back in for this map, I think you probably try to revert back to your ways of the ball. Pharah, the question is, what is your response this time if you are YFP? Because last time, it did work out too swimmingly for them.
Well, it looks like the response initially is Spingar coming in here. Jeremy going to be going over to the bench. So Spingar getting their first play here of the night. It's going to be interesting to see what they play. Again, Jeremy's been playing that Vendetta throughout the night. Do they play him on the Vendetta? Do they play him on a hit scan, allowing someone like, I believe it's Noxious, to play maybe a little bit more flex? Because normally Noxious has been the one that's been kind of designated as that hit scan player throughout the night here. So there are options now for both these teams. Spingar, going to be interesting to see what they play coming into this one here. Jeremy, though, I mean, slow start on that first map, a lot better on that second map, coming out here, a little bit of different play style. And like you said, Wrecking Ball is still definitely on the table, especially with Pella coming back in, but you might be seeing some other stuff as well. Diva could be an option. Doomfist could be an option. You could see more dive tanks come out here, especially on a map like New Queen Street. Dive is definitely an option here, especially with
So this is gonna be quite interesting. I believe we lost Dex for a moment there. Dexy is back, is alive, I think.
Yeah. Okay, that's concerning.
Well, I will say your mic is still working within OBS, so people can still hear you. So that's positive.
Yeah, well, that's fun, at least. Okay, don't know what's going on there. But again, I think right now it's 1-1 in the series. Both these teams have shown us one good map and one poor map. We need to have a map here where both these teams kind of show us head to head who's the better team. This could be that one map, because hey, whoever wins this map here puts themselves on a series point. But again, we could just be seeing a flip flop between team that picks the map wins the map.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. And to be fair, that does seem to be an occurrence when you have teams like this, that know each other well enough and know the band culture well enough to go in that position. So I'm happy to see what the situation is going to be going into this one. But seeing Spingar in, I don't know if I've seen Spingar in personally yet this season. I'm sure they've come in a few times. But the last time we saw them in action, as a matter of fact, we got to go all the way back to Season 5. They were on Tanuki Tapir, one of those playoff teams that got through. They played alongside Proven in that DPS line, and we saw them a couple times then, but not since. So I'm excited to see how it goes with this YFP squad, because we have seen a lot of these DPS cycle in and out with Noxious, Jeremy, Micah. But having Spingar in, I'm curious as to what will happen.
Yeah, again, Spingar has to be coming in to play the kind of flex DPS role here, unless they're going to be really keeping Noxious on that hit scan. I think this is a moment here. I think we definitely have seen Spingar at some point this season. Might have been, well, let's say last year, maybe early in the season when we covered YFP. I think our second game of the season. So it's been definitely a while, but Spingar, if I remember correctly, did really hold their own on some maps here and just some plays as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they come out with here. But as Hunter, me and you cross the border to go visit our friends up north here, we're gonna be heading into New Queen Street, and it's gonna be interesting to see what these two teams come out with. I really believe if you're Pella on this side, on the side of Extinction, you're going to be showing us back to that wrecking ball that really dominated that first map, just because it really did struggle. It really did cause a lot of struggle there from YFP.
Yeah, it's going to be especially important going into the situation and seeing how they bounce back against what is going to be thrown at them. And you want to assume, obviously, it's going to be the Wrecking Ball and the Pharah, which at least so far we're at least trending in that direction back over on the Hammond. But we're seeing what the response is going to be. And obviously, nothing's a lock until we get things out of the gate. But honestly, potentially seeing Spingar over on the Cassidy as Mari, bait or real life? And apparently, it's real life. The Hog is making its way out for the first time this series.
Yep, Hunter, this is real life. It is not a fantasy. And I was going to say, Hog was surprisingly a hero I thought we could see. Not in a joking way, because Pella has just been that dominant on the Hog. But now you're getting back to how Extinction was playing that first map. Social finding the first pick here. Mari already in a lot of problems, but you can already see from YFP, these just heroes they've selected here, they want to slow down Pella.
Yeah, and everyone's just going to be separated. Temp's going to find a nice couple of finishes. That is going to be a pretty simple first fight for them to take, and everyone's separated. That's essentially the full swap, and Nox is over on the Sombra now to kind of be a solution here for Pella.
Yeah, again, you have now 3 members on the side of YFP. Okay, now make it 2 since Spingar is going over to the Soj. But I think you now have 2 members over there on the side of YFP that are really just there to try to slow down Pella. Hacks, hooks, and everything in between right now just to try to slow down this Wrecking Ball. I think that's going to really allow the rest of this Extinction team to play very freely, but Social maybe flying a little bit too close to the sun there.
Yeah, this is a really interesting start, by the way. We're already at the 45-meter mark. Right around the corner for potentially unlocking that checkpoint. Oh, gonna find nothing for Mari. Even though there's no Ana, the fourth team, or the anti, Mari's still really struggling to keep this health going, stay alive. There's just a lot of focus that comes through here, and Pella getting rid of Spingar is not going to make the situation any easier. Noxious is trying to kind of repel Pella with all of these hacks, but it can only do so much.
Yeah, they can only do so much since the hacks aren't the old hacks that kind of cancel you from doing anything for a little bit here. Lampet, though, they're not going to be repelled, or they're going to be completely shut down by the hack right there. Pella, though, still trying to do a lot in this backline, still trying to get out with their life here. But hey, this Sombra really starting to come into a life of its own here, Hunter.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of these situations where Noxious is going to hack somebody out and Mari's going to get a free hook off on them. And you're going to see that a lot throughout this series, especially as we kind of get further into this. These ultimates are becoming very heavy for both sides, so I imagine you're going to see a very aggressive approach here with the mines from Pella momentarily.
Yeah, I mean, Pella has to use them, but they're going to get hacked just constantly here and hooked in, but Temp, the overclock, finding value.
Yep, exactly what you need in the situation. Regime still has that beat online. Salmon going to let this one loose with the Consider Rush, and now with Lampet down, things starting to go a little more in their favor, but Social going to double down the situation, going to try to pull this one back. It's going to force everybody to kind of back their way out, and Mari still hoping somebody's going to peek properly to get hit with that hook. Unfortunately, not going to hit a successful target right here. We'll be able to stall up the center for a while, but is kind of in no man's land. Is hoping somebody goes in. Unfortunately, no one's in the optimal position to really be hit with anything here, as Pep gets taken off the edge instead. And now, Mari and the rest of the squad are going to start running full forward as they're going to take a very decisive fight win here.
Very decisive. And honestly, right now, if you're Extinction, I think it might be time to hit the swap buttons on a couple of these heroes. Juno already has going over to the Yari there, but the Captive Sun, let's just say it's nighttime, Hunter. That sun nowhere to be found in that fight. Pella now makes swap off the Wrecking Ball, who did have mines ready to go here, going over to the Orisa instead. EMP out, finds one, but they confirm the kill.
Yeah, that was literally just to kill Lampet. And to be fair, you don't hate it, because now you've gotten the lead. You've taken the checkpoint us on top of that as well. And going into this fight, you might not have any ults right now, but the only thing you've got right now is the overclock with Spingar.
And right now, you're also seeing Juno get chased down by both Mari and Regime. Lampin now in the crosshairs of them. Just going to dash right back to point here. But the bot is currently being stolen here. And if you're Extinction, one pick could have gone a long way. Overclock coming out there from Spingar. Going to at least force those people who are stealing that bot away. Well, I was going to say to run away, but most of them are going away in coffins.
Yeah, Spingar, nice finish over onto 10th as well, as unfortunately, Lampet going to be taken down once more, and this lead is going to start extending forward, and now you're going to have a Cassini Rush online and DPS Ultimates to respond.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to see the DPS Ultimates come alive here for Extinction. Just get yourself back in this map, because the first fight, everything was going your way, but ever since then, it really hasn't. And Pella going over to this Orisa necessarily hasn't found that value you're truly looking for yet. Mari's still been able to do what they want to do, but Noxus and Spingar, I feel like, have been the bigger problems right now for Extinction. They need to shut down this DPS line for YFP, or else it's slowly going to start to slip away, but Duel and Kitsunis are out on the field.
Yeah, the fact they are right now, and you have that blade, you overclock, both ready to go. The beat's going to be used here as Lampet just has to get out of dodge momentarily. Pella, though, being down means if Lampet goes for this, it is such a high gamble. And as a matter of fact, you might want to focus more on living than anything else, as this lead now 30 meters separating them, and that's only going to grow.
And look, Pella just says, hey, it's not working. Going back over to the Wrecking Ball here now. And I don't think the Orisa was going to work without the Lucio there. Juno still going to play the Ciara here for the moment. Pella back over to this Wrecking Ball now. You need to find something here and now if you're Extinction, or else this map might just be over, but you're finally starting to see some picks go their way. But has the bleeding just been too much, Hunter?
Yeah, and you're just going to have people here on point, getting an extra couple of meters. To be fair, Mari is not afraid to die out here. You honestly do prefer to die on this point. Stall it out for as long as possible. That's all that Mari's doing. Still gets a pick, and now with all that stall, everybody's going to be able to get good spawn. You're able to build up a little bit more there. You're going to have the whole hog with the DPS ultimates now.
That EMP again, even though it only found one last fight, Hunter, look at how much progress that really got them just off of it there. It doesn't need to find much here. Like, just need to find one and be able to confirm the kill after it. Hell, if you find Pella out and are at least able to slow them down here, it goes a long way. Spawns, though, reset. 4 minutes on the board now for Extinction. 3 ultimates online for them. Lampet's been holding on to this blade forever. Not going to use it right now as they're hacked.
Yep, 10th is going to try to bring this fight back around with the overclock. No real targets inside. Only Mari, but to be fair, Mari, not exactly the person you want to run into. At least not the person I would want to. But Spingar is going to try to do this one back around, but now she's going to hit 3 with that EMP. Unfortunately, nobody goes down directly. In fact, Lampet is going to get hit right in the face with that one. It's just Mari hanging around, going to be able to push the bot back a little bit. But forward spawns were already lost, so everybody has to take their way all the way to the back.
And this should really give Extinction the forward spawns here now, and that's a huge benefit for them. Both DPS ultimates came out for both sides. The EMP did find 3, but you weren't really able to confirm any kills. Yeah, you found Lampet, but Lampet had already done what they needed to do with that blade there. But you already see YFP coming back in very, very quickly as Mari finds the hook, but the Suzu keeps him alive.
Yeah, mine's going to go up in the air, and Noxus obliterated right there as Mari hoping to get a little something is the team doing a good job of trying to clean things up. 63 meters is probably going to be the limit for now you're going to get from Extinction, as it's going to start heading back the other way. But importantly, Pella is going to get out alive, and the DPS look to be doing the exact same thing.
They're trying to here. They might have also just cursed Social, but Social using that Consumer Rush could allow them to get back. You also see Juno coming back into the fray here, but Mari takes care of Lampet. However, I don't think Extinction's done in this fight.
No, that's a rough prediction there from Mari.
They got hacked on mines!
Oh my good gravy god. That is worst case scenario now. Temp is actually cleaning up though pretty well. It's already gotten rid of 2. Hoping to get the hat trick right here as everyone's going to be separate from each other. And now you're going to start bringing this thing back the other way. But unfortunately for them, Mari has spent this time taking this bot back the other way. So even though you're going to win this fight right here, you essentially don't get any progress much, really.
Yeah, and Mari playing this Hog, which is essentially just a wall of meat, coming in very clutch here, just being able to just stall out that bot for as long as they possibly want to here. Coming up to 100 seconds right now, Hunter, that lead slowly going away, but you look over at Extinction, no ultimates online for a while. However, same thing could really be said here for YFP. You're looking now for Extinction for an early pick here. Pella trying to do what they can in that backline, but now they're kind of being bullied here.
Yeah, and now you're coming up to big ultimates. Remember that EMP is so important. It's been important throughout the entirety of this map so far, but big pull over on the Pella, who's going to get hacked away in 85 meters, and a little bit of tactical crouching from Mari as well. If you're the rest of this Extinction squad, you just need to go on this cart, take the death, and take that restart, because everyone still has forward spawns, and there's no guarantee you get out of here, as it's just Temp who's going to avoid the hook and be able to get out of here, realistically.
Yeah, Temp gonna be able to run for the life here. Social, though, you might need someone to stall out the cart here for a brief moment. No, they're gonna be just fine. They're gonna have the forward spawns here, but look at the ultimates online here for YFP. 4 ultimates online for them. Temp goes side to throw the first punch here with this overclock, looking to find anything here now, but it looks like everyone for YFP just gonna hide around a corner. This could be a really good re-engage for them here.
Yeah, Mari gonna be able to survive through all that. It's gonna open things up a little bit, but now you need to win back-to-back fights to realistically pull this one away. And Mari has been glued to the cart this entire time, by the way. And that's exactly what you want to do as this Hog. It's hard to contest you. And on top of that as well, even if you lose the fight, you stall it or steal it away, but that's going to be a good enough on the Pella, who already got rid of Noxious, who's going to have the EMP for this final fight right here. And Mari being focused right now, I don't know if this is the first person I would go after right now. As again, they're going to stall at the point, eventually they're going to go down. But now it comes down to this final fight. This comes down to the ultimate, specifically how good this EMP is.
Mines out early on here. I like that from Pella. They're basically just saying, like, hey, you're going to have to use some of your abilities just to get out of spawn here, but it looks like YP is going to take the long way around here. Noxious, though, EMP out does find 2, but the Captain Sun out from Juno as well.
Yeah, and this has to be absolutely massive. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be the case. You knew you were going to walk into the EMP. You had to be aggressive, but unfortunately, it just doesn't work out. The Hog works. Spingar coming in on that. Soldier works out really well, too. YFP now going to move over to match point. And again, maybe, dang it, Mari, perhaps a little skeptical going into this one, but it works out beautifully.
Oh, it worked out incredibly well, considering the fact that YFP, they came out here, lost that first fight very, very handily. They get kind of dominated that first fight by what Extinction was playing back on the first map where they dominated. Pella on that Wrecking Ball, you found Social finding the first pick, Juno following up shortly after them with a pick of their own there, and you saw that same kind of play that Extinction was showing us back on map number 1, where the support line was finding pick after pick after pick. They were able to get going. But then YFP, I think it was with that DPS line making a swap there. You saw them get off the cast, go over to their own Soj, but you saw them come out with the Sombra instead. And that Sombra, it didn't, like, here's the thing, you didn't necessarily need to find hacks onto Pella as often as they did. You just need to have that pressure there, making it a little bit more of a problem for Pella, and that's exactly what they did there. And you have to remember, they did hack Pella out of a mines, which is very, very impressive for them, but YFP, ever since Kings Row, has looked like the better team. Extinction had their chances, but slowly let them slip through their grasp there in that map.
Yeah, and it's a rough situation to deal with here, but there seems to be an instant solution. Extinction wasting absolutely no time killing the Sombra. That'll be their ban going to our 4th and potentially final map. And the question is, what do you ban back in the situation if you're YFP? I don't know if there's a definitive certain answer in this situation, having it come down to both support and tank. I mean, honestly, I'm grasping at straws for like what feels like you could ban out Ball in this situation. You could, honestly, you could. It wouldn't be
ban out Ball.
beat.
Winston's probably the smarter one.
Because it's such a good character to ban out. It's not always the pick, but it's always a solid pick. That's the issue.
Yeah, Winston would be the smarter one to ban out here, but we've only seen Pella play Ball so far tonight when it comes to dive tanks. Support lines, you could go after the Iari. That is something that Extinction has only shown us here tonight. Haven't seen it from YFP. You get rid of Juno, again, a hero that you've only seen from Extinction here tonight. Maybe just a safe ban would say, hey, get rid of Kiri. We're just going to deal with it throughout the entire map. I don't think that would be the worst ban either coming out from YFP, but you have options here for YFP, which is really good. And Extinction, really seems like with the Sombra Band coming in here, you're going to run it back with Pella on this Wrecking Ball here again, or at least potentially something like a Diva, perhaps here. I mean, you want to get rid of that so it allows Pella to kind of play a little bit more freely here, and really the rest of the team. Because like I said, even though Pella was kind of getting, really pressured out there with hacks, it seemed like the rest of the team was also getting pressured out there. But hey, I was right. Winston gonna be the ban here when it comes to tanks. Like I said, Wrecking Ball, you can deal with it. You were able to deal with it last map. Granted, you did have that Sombra, but you want to get rid of Winston because, like you said, Hunter, Winston is a little bit more viable on this map.
Yeah, it is such a viable character. And it can be tough to deal with, especially if you come out here running things like an Alari or a Genji. They can be dove without too much trouble, especially if those cooldowns are depleted. But doesn't mean it's going to be easy going by any stretch of the imagination. You still have to pull this one back. You got to try to bring this one into a map 5 situation. And go on the attack first means it is in their hands as to what their fate is going to be. Because we have seen in recent times, some teams struggle to get through that first point, whether they get held there or get forced into overtime situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we touch back on this game, let's also give an update on what's going on else around Faceit right now. With some results already in, I'm not going to say it's 100% confirmed, but it does look like with how some results have gone tonight and with the Shikigami loss, Shikigami no longer in contention for playoffs here anymore. The only team on the outside looking in that's not in that top 8 is Iliad Artemis, but they need a lot of things to go their way, and they also need to win out the rest of the season here. So right now, this is a big game for both these two teams, but they have to feel pretty safe to be in the playoffs. A win here definitely does lock one of these teams in, and right now, YFP in the driver's seat here.
Yep, and this win is obviously more important for them in the situation. They have the 4 losses already. If they take another one, who knows what it could lead to. But it requires a lot of things to happen, but still, you don't want to give that any percent chance. Temp, you know, honestly, I can appreciate it. You know what? I can't even be mad. I can't even argue it.
I don't hit the blitzkrieg kind of playstyle right there. You're definitely trying something before now going back over to this Freya, which I think was something that they were desperately missing last map with this Wrecking Ball, was that burst damage coming out. Because remember, that first map, it was Temp on the Freya, Lampet on the Pharah, and they were able to do so much with Pella on this Wrecking Ball here. Now you have a little bit of burst damage back, Lampet on this Vendetta as well. I mean, you just need one good stick to one of those squishies from them, and Pella's going to be able to clean them up. But already, Mari getting almost demeched here early on.
Yeah, rough situation. Don't want to go down so early, but still plenty of care is going to be kept alive. Pella out of that ball for a 3rd time now. He's going to keep things very frustrating for this squad as well, but still, they found a way to deal with it before, but they've lost that main tool as Mari is lucky to still be in the back. But as I say that, Jeremy caught as well. Mech depleted. This first point, I think, is done and dusted.
Mari, still alive, by the way. There they go. There they go. Mari was kind of just chilling on the Vespa over there, but team kill coming out here for Extinction, and honestly, Hunter, they desperately needed that. They needed a good fight win. They needed a fast fight win, and they got a dominant fight win. Already first point, 5 minutes on the clock for them. Kind of going back to what we saw in Kings Row, where these two teams just couldn't figure it out on the defensive side here, and Lampet already trying to play a little bit aggressively here. Remember, no Zarya to keep him alive, and Noxious going to remind them of that very, very quickly.
Yeah, I love this level of aggression coming out here. Lampet, obviously going down sucks, but you're so close to your own spawn rooms anyway where it doesn't make a big difference in the world. But now you're focused on ultimates. You're going to have those mines back once more, but with this Deadeye, Kitsune Rush can be available here for YFP. There's plenty to contest in here, and as we say that, Kitsune from the top rope, unfortunately, doesn't get a whole lot here. You trade out, but once again, you're not mad in that situation if you are Extinction. You're able to kind of slowly keep trying to chip away at things, but at least for the moment being, Pella is being forced out into some weird situations. But if anything, Mari's the one struggling to barely stay alive, is currently trying to stay alive, and realistically isn't going to be able to, but will be kept up at the last second.
But Juno, again, the support lines have been important for these two teams the entire series here. Lampet going to be able to find Noxus. Mari gets Team Mech, should eventually fall here. But the support lines have been important for both these two teams throughout this entire series. Not only in their healing, but in their kill contribution as well. And whenever you're seeing these supports really find a lot of value in these fights with kills, you're really seeing the team just follow that up. They're able to play a little bit more freely here, but look at this fight coming up here, Hunter. We could realistically see 9 ultimates be thrown out here. Already one out on point with the mines. It's going to be very difficult now for YFP to get a touch here.
Yeah, but get the touch they will.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, our team's already down. The backline has exploded, and now all you can do here is just die on the point, save the mech for another day. But this is very eerily reminiscent to what we saw back on map 2. A ton of progress already with a ton of time on the clock, but another pause is going to come through here like earlier.
Bye, Jeremy.
It's probably going to be the fact.
Yeah, so,
we will see that, yeah, it is a pause by YFP, so yeah, very likely. Which
yeah,
sucks because there is a Sundering Blade right there.
Yeah, no, that's a big ultimate to lose right here, especially with the rest of your team having all their ultimates almost online, basically, outside of Salmon. It's costly. It is, but really it just evens the playing field when it comes to that ult economy. Both teams will have 3. Mari still has their bombs, so they have a good remaking tool here. Still haven't seen Jeremy leave yet. If you're wondering why we're talking about that, if you're just joining us in, which I'm assuming most of you are, Jeremy disconnected map 2 of this series here, and that's really when YFP started to get going here. Maybe this resets it for them now, and Extinction will get going. But right now, Extinction putting out a little bit of a speed run here. Almost 5 minutes to go into that third point. Still have 3 really good ultimates on their side. They used 2 in that fight to just cap that second point. I mean, we've been seeing this back and forth here a lot throughout the night where one team has a really good map and the other team follows up with a really good map here. But the last 2 maps have been dominated by YFP. Now it's time for Extinction to take their turn here. They have Sundering Blade, they have Bola, they have Kitsune. They have good openers here, but I don't necessarily know if they have any good finishers. You're going to need a lot of help from, say, Pella to be able to maybe clean someone up from a Bola shot from Temp.
Yeah, 100%. And having all these ultimates obviously is going to be very nice going into this next fight. Not having the Kitsune Rush isn't the biggest issue in the world. The only issue is that Juno has it in response, which I think is going to make up for the slight gap that we have in the current ult economy. But honestly, more than anything else, it's about just being smart with these ultimates, because we have seen these fights where, hey, you have the advantage going in, you use a little too much to win the fight, and it comes back to bite you. We've seen it throughout series, not just the series, throughout the season several times over. But at the very least, hey, it looks like we're getting ready to head back into things as, yeah, no DCS at this moment, so you'll have to see it. But unfortunately for Noxus, they are going to get sent back to the spawn room lanes.
Yeah, but I mean, with that little bit of a pause right there, probably some internet issues going on there, maybe for Jeremy, maybe for someone else. That definitely does lean on you a little bit, but it also gives both teams a moment here to really talk. You already see Mari make the swap over to the Zarya instead. The D.Va, I mean, it wasn't really working out for them. Pella was able to kind of bully them there throughout the most part here, and Pella, at the same time, also just trying to roll them off that high ground, because that's a very valuable position that Mari and the rest of YFP is currently holding on to.
Super valuable right here, and now you're in a critical position where Juno is going to let this rip right here, but you're just kind of hanging under, stopping the car from progressing. I love the way that Mari's going about this. Unfortunately, we'll see if the data produces any results. It is a pretty good result right there, trading out Lampet and Juno. Not just might go down, but I think they're still sitting in a really good position where everyone else in Extinction just has to reset.
Extinction, though, I mean, with Pella still kind of fighting for a card, they might not necessarily look for the reset, just for a quick re-engage instead.
Yeah, Pella will be thrown in directly over onto Regime, who more than happy to stay alive right here as, hey, mines around the corner here. You can probably see the aggressive mines up top. It's going to cause separation there. Cut away. If people just have to dive in there, and it's working out well. Sundering Blade for Jeremy. Cutting people off. Doesn't get it out in time, though. It's just Mari alive. Everyone's still standing, and this could be a massive time bank.
This could be, and you're already seeing the swaps come out here now for YFP. Everyone just in touch mode here. Jeremy going to be there for the touch. You have Regime, Mari, Noxus making swaps as well. The only ultimate online here, Hunter, going to be that title blast coming out from Social, but they have to build up to it first.
Yep, you're going to lose out on Jeremy early. Mari is going to be lucky to really survive in this car any longer. Noxus on the Bastion, not going to result in anything right here. You're going to let this go with this Tide, and man, 250 on the clock. We are seeing shades of King's Row once again, and man, that is an impressive display right there. Like, that third point can be rough for a lot of teams on Dorado, but they go through it like it's almost nothing.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, like you said, almost nothing. Hell, it really was nothing. I mean, we're seeing shades of King's Row, but we're also seeing shades of Nepal here, Hunter. Pella didn't die again that round. Something they did all the way back on Nepal first round. I mean, again, you're just seeing Extinction find the value here. And you have to remember, we went back to that talk about the ban. Was Winston the right move or was Wrecking Ball the right move? I think both me and you said, hey, the Winston is going to be the right move. Winston finds a little bit more value on this map. It's something you see a little bit more often. But with a team that has been so heavily playing Wrecking Ball tonight, you have to start to wonder, was that the right move? Granted, you could say, yes, it's the right move. If we go to a map 5, Wrecking Ball is still there to be banned. But you really don't ever want to go to that last map 5, but already look at what we're seeing from YFP. They are immediately saying, okay, we need to shut this down, and we need to shut it down fast. And I like what we're seeing here pretty early on from Mari and Regime. I imagine Noxious not going to be sticking on the Widow, maybe for more than a shot, but you never know. We did see a little bit of a bamboozle earlier on, where Temp found some value on Widow, but I don't think we're going to find that here.
No, I don't think so either, but if you get a really good hook here, if you are Mari early on, it could be nice, but unfortunately, I don't think Noxious is going to stay around much longer, but that is a beautiful couple of shots there from Temp.
Already, just look at the difference that we're in play styles that we're seeing here very early on. Extinction not afraid to necessarily play up. You saw YFP play up a little bit, but then immediately just give up so much space last round. And you also have to remember, Lampet came out on Junkrat last round and basically sacrificed himself for nothing.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. But hey, it's the hilarity of it all. They got the Junkrat boost as a result for the rest of that round. And hey, worked out pretty well. But as Noxious is going to get rid of Lampit, this puts things in a very peculiar situation because Pella can still stall for a while, but is more worried about staying alive and contesting for the next fight.
Yeah, and again, I like that there from everyone on Extinction. You just need to really not do the same mistake that YFP did, which was like basically just lose a fight very early on here. You still give yourself some space, but Jeremy, someone who desperately needs to step up. But again, Pella still playing on their first life here this map.
Yeah, rough situation though as the supports kind of get moved forward. They get caught out a little bit. Pella might take some damage, but I think you have reasonably enough to sustain here. And yeah, you're trying your darndest here with Lampet and Juno not in the fight. But you have Pella who has the stall factor, who has those heals coming from Social and Temp, who's about to come in close to a polo shot. Unfortunately, won't get a chance to even let it loose. And now, dangerous territory. If Mari can stay alive, this point should be a sitch.
Can the Hamster 1v5 the entire team? Probably not. They might have to go with this first point here. You do see Lampet come back in, giving Pella some time to get some health here. But still, the hook coming out there from Mari, gonna be able to slow down Pella for a moment, but they're still just holding on to the contest here. But eventually, they're gonna have to let it go as Pella dies for the first time. And you do see YFP clean up that fight there. Not the same time bank that YFP had compared to what Extinction had, but still, not that much different. About 30 seconds less. I think you'll take that if you're YFP here. And hey, you're finding more and more picks here. Lampet though back over now to the Tracer here. First time I believe we're actually seeing them play that here tonight. I like it, especially for what we're seeing now from the side of YFP. Mari back on this Roadhog. Again, I don't think me and you expect to see a lot of Roadhog here tonight, Hunter, but Mari on this Hog has been very effective as the mines come out on the point.
No, it's going to be incredibly important here right now, and trying to find something with that Tidal Blast. It's going to be effective of forcing Mari to get off of the high ground, but with Temp and Pella cleaning things up, it's going to do its job plentifully. Temp super low though, but is not going to be taking out Mari, hoping to do so, but Regime, last person to go down, and the single bright side of the situation as Regime is being staggered out a little bit here, eventually will be taken out, but Ultimate's going to go wild here, especially for YFP, 4 online.
4 online for YFP. You're going to have 2 ready to go here now for Extinction. Extinction did use 3 in that last fight, Mines, Tidal Blast, and Bola Shot. Granted, it did lead them to a fight win here, but I think you have a little bit easier on the defense side, being able to really respond to ultimates here. Noxious Deadeye, I think is going to struggle to find value here because mostly just be used to build space. Salmon and Regime's Beat are normally just going to be there for sustain and just pressure coming out. And Jeremy, Thunderman Blade, while we seem to find some value here tonight, Hunter, it does have its struggles from time to time. Pella, though, gonna get hooked in here. Pulse Pump out from Lampet, not gonna be able to find anything. It's a little bit of a dud this time.
Yeah, unfortunate. To be fair, it's rough to get one out on a lot of these targets right here. Noxious or Regime would obviously be perfect, but it's unrealistic. Temp's going to be pulled back in, though, and Mari going to be able to sustain as well. But Consider Rush is here to try to win a 4v5, but Salmon is going to respond immediately, and the B is thrown out as well. And honestly, this is going to be a losing effort of a fight, and you're going to get cleared up in time. But honestly, you lose the fight, but getting a full support ultimates, there is a pretty good silver lining there.
Yeah, and the fact that the card is still basically at the first point is huge there for Extinction. Yeah, you got to both support elements, you have to deal with the DPS ultimates, but like I said, those DPS ultimates, very avoidable, very just zonable as well. But Sundering Blade comes out from Jeremy, immediately hits the left click, realizing they were in danger, and yes, they were in fact in grave danger.
Very much so. Nox just not going to get anything with the Deadeye, but it is going to make a lot of space for them. Unfortunately, that space is not going to help Nox just stay alive, and now poor Mari in the corner, all they can do is say a little hello hi before they're taken out. And progress has come to a quick end here, and it's really been a struggle for them to get anywhere these last couple minutes.
It really has been. We're finally seeing a team understand that defense is important. Defense does win you championships, and right now, defense definitely needs to help one of these teams at least keep this series alive here, and that team is doing a really good job on it. Pella, though, I think you're really starting to see them find that value in on this wrecking ball, really not be shut down by Mari. You don't have that Sombra there as well. Mari, though,
oh my God,
they really started to struggle on this wrecking ball, and Lampit almost 1v1ing them here. Gonna be able to.
That's insane. Nox just momentarily out over on the Widow. Has to go over to the Tracer now. And they need to find somebody. Now, at the very least, this card is slowly beginning to move forward once again. Someone will eventually realize and head back forward. It is Jeremy back over on the Vendetta to try to close things out. Social ends up going down, though, so it's starting to create a rough situation. Pella's likely going to have to back up here, play for final fight over towards that second checkpoint. But instead, it's going to hit the mines here. Is not going to wait for the final fight, and you might want this back here in 20 seconds for all we know.
I don't hate it, actually. I mean, it's going to stop YFP from really doing anything on the card. Mari invests whole hog. I think, you know what, these mines are actually beneficial here. You get rid of one big ultimate there. That ultimate from Mari could have been used to at least buy them some more space, maybe even get them the point if they get that close. No ultimate so online for Extinction. I see what you're meaning now by, yeah, you might want that here in a little bit, but getting rid of Regime, that's huge, Hunter. Now that beat not going to be available. This engagement, how much pressure does YFP put on themselves here?
I mean, you have to put all the pressure on here. If you have 15 seconds left here, essentially, you're not going to have anything outside of the beat and the pulse bomb around the corner. At the same time, though, the longer this fight goes on, the better it's going to be for Extinction. You're coming up to potentially 4 ultimates, depending on how long this goes. But first and foremost, you need to make sure somebody gets overtime touch, and I believe it does come through there as the overtime will start to tick through. Regime has a beat ready to go here with Nox already down. You have to start going on the aggression here, Dex. It is now or never.
Now or never beat coming out here from Regime, but the Tidal Blast going to be able to at least stun them out. The beat, though, does get off in time, and now if you're YFP, you're looking for anything.
Yeah, but Consider Rush is there. It's going to start trying to mend things out right now. Sam and Jeremy, Regime, all trying to force their way over. And Jeremy doing a great job pulling this one back. His health get rid of too. But the bull shot being thrown out right there, causing everyone to separate. It's just Jeremy, not just trying to make their way back, but instead, it's going to be a heartbreaking situation for them. But they're still alive as we are headed to a 5th and final map.
And again, that was a map that Extinction desperately needed. They kind of looked like themselves again from what, at least the performance back on map 1. Pella on that wrecking ball really did find all the momentum and all the value you were truly looking for there. But at the same time, Extinction, we talked about a little bit after map 3. The aggressive playstyles going out from both these teams have really worked well for them here tonight. And Extinction was the team that aggressed a little bit more than, actually no, a lot more than YFP there, considering Extinction was not touching spawn doors on that second point, but desperately getting close to it. I mean, Pella was up there, Lampit, Temp, that support line was basically at the first point after they already capped it. I mean, this Extinction team wanted to play aggressive, and man, did they really do just that. It was really, when you look at the stats here, a full-on gap by Extinction this map, as everyone in I think every category did a lot more than what YFP did here. But Hunter, this is like our, what, second or third map 5 in the last week. We've been picking some good ones here, and YFP has decided to bring us to Australia for our last map, as we'll be heading to New Junk City.
Yep, and now this is where the bans are going to be so important. You think back of what has already been taken out, how some of the teams have been a little cautious as to what they have gotten rid of in the past, but now you're back in a situation where the Sombra is back into play, can't be banned out again. The ball, I believe, hasn't been banned out fully yet either, and it could be taken out here, and it puts you in a situation where either you need to put Pella on a different tank, or you need to bring back in Tools. And Tools did what they could do in that game, but it was a situation where YFP figured out quickly how to deal with that situation, so it's out of their control for the moment as YFP does have the first ban, and the ball has been taken out.
However, I think going to a map like New Junk City, yeah, Wrecking Ball could find its value, but I think it really struggles to at the same time. But granted, if you're a really good ball player, you're going to play Wrecking Ball on any map, and Pele has shown us that throughout the night, and almost immediately you saw there, it seemed like Extinction really knew who they wanted to ban there almost immediately, but now lineups are being finalized. Do we see Tools come back in? Do we see Spingar come back in, potentially for YFP? Do we see Micah, Ghostin come in, or Sharkkin come in there? I mean, we have some players on both these teams who are really, really good, who we haven't seen yet tonight, but looks like we have our answer, at least for the side of Extinction. Pella gonna be out, 2Ls coming right back in, and the final ban gonna be Bastion here. So it leads me to believe that we're gonna be seeing at least Zarya come out from Tools here. Will we be seeing it from the other side as well, as Jeremy gonna be sticking in for them? No Spingar for YFP heading into our final map.
Yep, and it all comes down to this. It's going to be a lot, of course, close quarter combat to end things out here today, and it's going to be a big adjustment for both sides here, honestly, going into this map. We saw before how things went for Extinction when they got forced into a map type like this, and now they got to show what they got. They have to show that they have learned from that previous situation as we head into our fifth and final map of the night, New Junk City. Tools being back in means the Zarya is the most likely outcome here, but that means you're probably going to have the Zarya be Zarya, but Mari, honestly, might run it back a third time.
That's a bait. It's a bait.
It might be.
It has to be bait. But no, like, here's the thing. Coming into the map, both teams kind of saying, like, hey, map 5, good luck, good luck. So good sportsmanship by both these two teams. Both these two teams, I feel pretty confident they're in the playoffs. But this game here tonight does go a long way in seeding for both of them here. But there you go. Mari going back over to the Zarya. So Zarya v Zarya. Lampet and Jeremy back on, remember Copa America. Lampet and Jeremy back on the Vendettas here. So again, we're going to be looking at those two battles a lot throughout the series, or this map here. The Vendetta and Zarya, those go hand in hand with each other. Outside that, same support lines, but the difference is hit scans here. Noxious going over with the Cassidy, Temp going over with the Soj. Temp has had a little bit of love-hate play with Soj tonight, where they've struggled at times, but at other times been able to win their team fights.
Yeah, and Tools already being separated, but Jeremy the first to go down. Unfortunately, Tools is kind of left on their own in that situation. Everybody is kind of playing in a certain way that's so zoned away, where if the Zarya gets cut off, it's really hard to find a solution. But point is unlocked. You're going to see them rush to be able to get a touch, and that they 100% will. And I think without them in the lineup, this is going to be so tough to pull back here, especially with Lampet down. Tools might be able to get back in time to do something, but I think this point, for the time being, should be a pretty simple lock-in for YFP.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Lampet falling there, you really just want to try to get everyone out there for Extinction to have that quick re-engage when Tools got back, but I'm not going to say that was a mistake by Lampet, because once you got Mari on that low ground, if they find one pick, it's immediately a good play there for Extinction, but now, again, you're already seeing, I believe that's Lampet and Social getting cut off over there.
Yeah, and it's hard to even call this a fight. They just get cut off, and now Tools is in here, is going to get staggered out a little bit here, and Temp gets out, but I think with already 40%, this is already kind of your final fight territory.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear that 65% rule for teams coming back is like, if you spawn back in after 65%, it's not worth it for you to come back. But especially with this being a map 5 and potentially locking a playoff spot on the line, I think you gotta have to push it here a little bit. But you look at the ultimates right now for YFP. You're gonna have Beat. You're gonna have Katsuni Rush here. Pretty early on in this fight, the only thing for Extinction here could be Temp's overclock, which, like I said, they've had a love-hate kind of relationship with Temp, or with the Soj throughout the night here. They need this one to find some value, as it is out right now.
Yep, 100%, and Temp hoping to get a little something, but you are going to see the point flip over. Mari incredibly low Salmon in the exact same light. You need to get rid of somebody here, and thankfully Lampet helping out a ton in that regard, has gotten rid of 2, and that's going to cost for Mari to get out, but the important part is Mari retains all of that delicious charge.
Yeah, but right now, Mari has that charge. It's going to fade away here for a brief moment. Look at what YFP is coming back in this next fight with. You have Beat, you have Kitsune, you have Deadeye. You're going to have Sundering Blade. You're going to have Grab. Tools, Social, and Lampet kind of lagging behind those. So this could be a really quick fight here for YFP. Honestly, they might only need to use truthfully 1 or 2 of these ultimates, and that could get them this fight and this point back in their control.
100% it could, but you're trying to work up to something. If you get the Kitsune rushing for Juno, you have an opportunity to potentially win this fight, and there it is. You're trying to out-rotate it. You can let this point flip over. In fact, you almost really have to. You take the Kitsune rush over on the point after the fact, and you do what you can to build up some more. But here comes that Deadeye from Noxious, trying to force everybody away. Grab's gonna throw people in, and unfortunately, Lampet, Tools likely not long for the world, and yeah, that fight is going to be that at the end of the day. But hey, you're gonna lose the first point, but your single bright side is use a Kitsune rush, and you get 3 ultimates out of YFP.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you needed there was that kind of fight. You could give up that first point. You got a lot of ultimates out. It kind of evens up the playing field, or evens up the ult economy here, and really puts you in a good spot here. Because look, Temp, Lampet, Tools should have all their ultimates ready to go for this first engagement here. You get to have to deal with a Beat and a Sundering Blade. That's easy enough to get rid of, right? Kind of avoid. But you already start to see the split coming here from YFP. Noxious and Regime on their own, and the Beat coming out here pretty early on.
Yeah, you're going to double down here trying to find something, but nobody has gone down, and now you're looking at a potentially dry fight online. Temp, the only one with an ult about to be online here. It's got to be really important, but Jeremy is kind of forcing them away. Grab, going to be forced out here by Tools. Unfortunately, doesn't get much of a response from it, but eventually is going to get the necessary cleanup right here and is going to be able to shut them down. Jeremy, last one to go down, is going to be left to the wolves a little bit here and eventually will be taken down, but you love that staggering. It works out beautifully, and hey, Temp also manages to hold on to the overclock.
I mean, that's a good play there for them. Well, it was a good play. But now it kind of puts them a little bit behind the 8 ball here. Granted, you just had Jeremy respawn. If you could find Noxious here, who's pretty low, but they're going to be playing their health here at the moment. Temp should be able to get back here fast with that overclock. Salmon, though, has a Kitsune rush not that far away. Noxious has a Deadeye about to be online as well. So YP, they do have Tools here ready to go pretty early on.
Yeah, and now you have to focus on potentially having to simply drop here. And Tools is going to drop down. Temp is in here quickly. Needs to find a body right there. Manages to find one. Mori too far separated. Now with 80% on the board already. Noxious last one alive. Going to be staggered out just a little bit, and that's going to make this go 1-1. And again, it's incredibly back and forth between these teams, but this is Extinction getting a certain level of momentum there.
Getting a certain level of momentum, yeah, that's desperately what they needed, especially after that first point where they really struggled to get any of that there. But immediately, as we head right next door to the refinery, you do see Noxious Deadeye ready to go, and they're just gonna use it right now. Build some space.
Yeah, nobody goes down. Lampet, though, is just really separated. And honestly, kind of lucky to be alive and lucky to find 2 kills, by the way. A little bit of help from their squad as they're going to start moving forward, trying to cut bodies down one after another. And now Lampet, while separated, it's just Salmon, the last one alive. So point, again, going to head over to Extinction. And the important part going to this fight is late kill on the Salmon is pretty important here.
Hunter, I've been talking about it throughout the night here that the support lines have been able to provide a lot of kills for both these teams. At the end of this map, whichever support line has more elims, I think is going to be the team that ends up coming out on top. And right now, that is Extinction. Social and Juno are not afraid to get aggressive and play an aggressive playstyle, which both these heroes they're playing do have that in their toolbox, and they could desperately do that here. But Juno has his Kitsune Rush ready to go here, so does Salmon. I would expect dueling Kitsune Rush here on point very, very soon, especially with Mari's grab online as well.
Yeah, and this might just get chucked in the center here in a second here. Just wait the opportunity, because someone has to go and touch this point, and it's more than likely whoever touches is going to have to get grabbed. But with Lampet down, who knows if you need the grab. You're going to go with the Kitsune Rush, you're going to run them down, and I don't know if you invest anything, but instead, they're going to go for it. Grab thrown out, it's going to catch onto one, but it's important when Juno is gone. Social Tools likely to be just right behind. 67% on the board here. Tools and Temp, not long for the world. But again, your bright side here, Tools still has the grab of Regime. Also the beat to match as, my God, people.
I hate it all. But hey, right there, again, you need that kind of plays coming out from everyone there on YFP. Regime got a good start there, getting rid of Social, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And look, you look now at Extinction. They have grab, which comes out in response to the beat.
Yeah, Regime, by the way, still alive. Lampet's down. This is worst case scenario, because now you're taking potential late deaths here. In fact, you're taking a ton of late deaths. Temp is the only one out alive, and in fact, is going to try to put the point over, but unfortunately, this is not going to have the intended result right here, as now, I don't know if I call it a rush to the point, but it's going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a really tough one, but that was a 2-for-1 there for YFP. They only used one ultimate, the beat, and got rid of the Sundering Blade on the grab from the other side. I mean, that's the perfect fight there for them now. Yeah, Temp has the overclock ready to go here, which he did find a lot of value with last time here, but Tools taking a big shot there early on. Sundering Blade comes out from Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy wants something, doesn't find anything quite yet. And in fact, needs to get some kind of follow-up. Social is pulled out. It's going to get torn down just like that. Jeremy already gotten rid of 2, though. Was hoping to take the team over to map point and match point at that. But with the separation of Tools, it's going to be so tough to pull this one back around. And with them going down, point flip back over. This should be a 2-1 situation. It's map point online here for YFP.
YFP, they can sense it right now. They have everything going their way. And, I mean, hell, the ult coming going into this next point is pretty even here. I mean, everyone kind of invested all their ultimates into that last fight. It kind of told you how important it was to be on map point here and series point at the same time. I mean, it's going to be really important now. Who's going to be able to find the value here pretty early on? Again, you're looking at the Vendettas, especially with Zarya there to bubble. They are going to be playing aggressively here, but you need their supports there. Juno and Social need to be following them basically like a tick on a dog.
Essentially, but now you're going to have to consider rush early if you're Salmon, as long as you don't go down in a moment here as Mari incredibly low goes down, and now do you consider rush or do you pull back? And for the time being, they're looking to engage here, no consider rush yet. And it looks like at the end of the day, they're not going to pull the trigger on it. It's good just win right there from Salmon to not pull that trigger. Takes Juno down with them at the end, but point's still going to go the way of Extinction.
That's actually a huge trade there at the end, because Salmon can come back in very quickly with their whole team. Juno has a much longer walk, so that consider rush can come out a lot faster now for YFP to try to get a quick fight win here, and that's exactly what I think they should do here. It looks like they're also setting up for it as well.
Yep, 100%, and now you're going to have so much up online here. I think this is kind of probably going to be the defining fight, potentially, of this map coming up here. Who is going to be the first one to budge with both of these 4 ultimates going to be online? Social right around the corner from this beat. Tools needs to get this online quickly, and Lampet will be the first one to go down. Jeremy puts them in good territory. Beat going to be there in time. It's going to support everybody in that situation. Mari's going to pull back in, though, goes down as a result, but the rest of their team is hoping to clear things up, and that they are going to do. Just tempting Lampet, going to force the way onto the point, stall for a little while longer. Ton of ultimates thrown out there. 4 total for Extinction.
Honestly, at this point, I think Lampet should have never used Sundering Blade. The last 2 times they used it, they've died during it. And it's really affected their team because of it. But just great plays coming out there for everyone on the side of YFP. Sundering Blade right for them. They're going to have overclock as well. Temp has overclock here, but that's the only thing now for Extinction, potentially for the rest of this map, and they're using it now.
If you can get rid of Mari here, it is 100% massive, but they're giving everything to get rid of Mari. Jeremy's super low as well, getting low, and that's going to clear them out. 80% on the board means your team not just need to try to do something here. Unfortunately, nothing's going to happen without any speed on their side here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to come down to a 5th and final point.
And right now, I don't understand why Extinction's necessarily pushing up. The point that they're going to be going to is closer to their spawn here. They are just honestly giving YFP an opportunity here to try to take a quick fight, and that's exactly what YFP is going to try to do. They're already speeding there. Final point here for this map, for this series, and we could not have asked for a better one here tonight, but you look right now. DPS Ultimate still online right now for YFP. The fight's out early, and Nox is also out early as well.
Yeah, once again, though, it could work out beautifully for them. Mari might go down, but Noxious more than happy to invest here, take this fight over, but there is still a decent amount of time on the board here. I don't think it's enough time to come back and fully contest, but it will be enough to quickly come back here.
There might be a chance for a contest here, especially if there's only 1 person on cart. Lampet, or 1 person on point. Lampet, though, trying to at least tease it there. No, they're going to contest. They want to try to make sure they at least force maybe out this other ultimate here from the side of YFP, especially since they don't have one of their own online.
Yep, and it's so close to ticking back over. Jeremy is hanging around. Continuum Rush is going to be forced out here from Salmon. Jeremy still has a Sundering Blade. Lampet down as point, going to be forced over. Every single ultimate, every single cooldown use is going to be so critical as Social gets taken down, and they're going to start running out here and try to see if they can get somebody else.
And decision right now. If you're Extinction, you just get out of dodge, regroup very quickly. Got rid of a huge ultimate right there from Salmon, and that Kitsune Rush. If you go back in quickly and win a team fight here, you might not see another Kitsune Rush from the other side the rest of this map here. But now the Sundering Blade out here for Jeremy, and the beat as well.
Gets rid of nobody, though, at the end of the day, causing separation on the Tools, who is so far from salvation. The team's trying to run over and take care of business, but it's going to get burnt down anyway. Jeremy might die for it, but that's such a critical kill right there. As the rest of the team is being caught out, they need to reset as quick as humanly possible.
Social running for their life. Temp not gonna be able to have that same success here, being able to get out. And now, Hunter, you are in desperation mode. There's gonna be a run to the point here now for Extinction. Granted, look at the ultimates they have. They're in a good spot, but Mari, they have something that can stop them dead in their foot tracks there, or footprints with the grab. They're already a little bit of split formation coming out here, so they at least get a touch, but Mari's grab might just be the decider here.
It's what they have to do, but Social gives her life for the touch, but now you have all four ultimates throwing the grab in. Mari, rough situation. Is everyone going to throw everything in? Mari gets rid of 3, and now all they can do is rush to the point, hope for the best. Temp going to get 1, but it's not going to be enough. YFP solidify their spot in the playoffs with a win here. It's a map 5 victory against Extinction.
Whew. And again, I have to say this. The Sundering Blades coming out there at the end from Lampet. Well, their last 3, they were all killed during them there. So maybe it would have been better just to hold on to it there. But again, that's me picking at straws here. That was a back and forth series this entire time. We finally got a good back and forth map. These two teams really put it all on the line here. But Extinction, like I said, I think their overextension there on that 4th point, just pushing up, making sure YFP would not come back in and engage on that 4th point, comes back to hurt them a little bit, because now YFP just said, okay, we're gonna go for 5th point. We're just gonna rotate that way, and Extinction was a little bit slow, putting YFP in a much better spot for a fight there. They took it in a spot where YFP found so much more value because of it there, and Extinction, they had opportunities to come back, but at the end, they were so split up that it would have been a miracle and a couple of huge plays coming out from a lot of members on that team for them to even get the point in their control there. YFP, congratulations on your playoff spot here. Extinction, they're still, I think, pretty safe, but they only need to win one more game here. And I believe they only have 1 more left? 2 more left?
Yeah, so after this game here today, they still have quite a couple left as a matter of fact. We'll take a they have a couple. So they still have games against, let's see here. They have In Control, Iliad Artemis, and Dreamland. And obviously, it's a bit of a critical situation when you really think about it, because seeding is still going to be important in this situation. There are a lot of teams that are at that 9 win mark, so being able to get a couple of wins here, extremely important to where they're going to seed in this top 8. And at this point, I think it feels pretty certain who our top 8 is going to be, but that seeding is still important. That number 1 seed isn't even decided yet. A lot can happen in these last couple of games.
Yeah, and Hunter, remember what I said during the final map there, that the support line that ends up finding the most limbs there is normally going to be the support or the team that ends up winning. Well, YFP support line, 55 combined kills that map, almost on pace with their DPS line there, who had, well, granted, 70 combined elims there. I mean, YFP, they played an excellent map. They played an excellent series, even in the maps that Extinction was able to win here tonight, which, I mean, you could really say Extinction dominated them. YFP, they still had their moments, but Extinction, they had a play style that really worked for them. And once that Wrecking Ball got taken out there, you really saw the struggle that Extinction had on some of those maps. New Queen Street, where they played it, got off it, then went back to it. It took him a little bit to get used to playing up against a Sombra and a Roadhog that really wanted it out there for Pella, but it was just a little bit too late there. YFP, I think they made excellent picks throughout this series, excellent bans, and excellent swaps at perfect times throughout this series as well. Really good victory here for them tonight.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is a way to propel them forward. Because obviously, in terms of who could have potentially been knocked out of the teams that weren't confirmed, YFP was probably the most prominent, and that's only because of really the tough opponents they had up here. But with this one right here, they're in a wonderful position now, top 8, more than secure, and now it's going to be a situation of what their seeding is going to be, because I believe with the win right there, the only team that could technically, I think, still drop out is Extinction, but with the way their schedule is going to be going, as we'll do a quick little double check on them, they have In Control and Iliad Artemis on that schedule. They should be able to realistically win one of those games, and if they beat In Control, that Artemis game is just going to be good for seeding. But again, you never know what can happen in that situation. In Control is still trying to fight for something here, get a couple of wins here at the very end. But at the very least, this is such an amazing performance from a team that I think really needed this level of momentum going into the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, both these rosters, me and you were talking about before we came on air here tonight, that both these teams, really good rosters. The fact they were this low in the standings and still necessarily with how many games they have left, saying like, hey, they could miss out. It was a surprise to both of us here. They really have been seeming to right the ship here towards the end. Extinction getting a huge victory over, I believe it was Nightmare, handing them their first loss of the season, losing here tonight. But that just kind of shows you how competitive this North American Masters tier is, especially once you look past those top two teams of Nightmare and Dreamland. Everyone there is one loss away from being, everyone there is basically, if you lose, you could go from being the 3rd seed all the way down to that 7th seed. There is a hodgepodge of teams that we're going to see a lot of movement, a lot of fluctuation here in standings and seeding for playoffs in these last couple days of the regular season.
Yep, 100%. And obviously, biggest competition is Nightmare and Dreamland for that number 1 position. And Dreamland, all they have to do is win out with the rest of their schedule right now. If they do that, Nightmare cannot get that spot back, puts them in a really interesting situation. But obviously, we have to wait on the rest of these games throughout the week to develop. Obviously, we have games going on Thursday, Friday, and I believe a couple more on Saturday to round things out. But now that we...
And some Sunday.
Yeah, and Sunday, yeah. And for all intents and purposes, I feel like we have our top 8 teams, unless, obviously, a miracle would happen on the Iliad Artemis front, which won their game today, so does keep that small chance alive. But their only chance now is for Extinction to fumble the bag. But either way, I'm happy being in the situation, being able to see all these amazing teams. Some we are very familiar with, but teams like Kintsugi that I'm pretty sure they either barely made it last year or barely didn't make it last year. They were a very back and forth team for a while, but now they're in a situation where they're currently the number 3 seed. If they finished with a couple of good wins on the season, they could be in a really good position. But the problem is, Dex, that's a time will tell situation. We are coming up very rapidly on these playoffs, but alas, that is not tonight.
No, it is not tonight. Like I said, time will tell here. But right now, again, I think this has probably been one of the more competitive seasons of Faceit League that me and you have seen. Because, like I said, there you could be in the 3rd seed and then lose a game and be all the way back in that 7th seed. It's going to be something you're going to want to watch here over these last couple days of the regular season. Because trust me, there's going to be a lot of people co-streaming these games. So make sure you guys all support the scene here and support your favorite teams.
Yep, 100%. We got 1 game left of the regular season. We're going to be doing tomorrow to round out the season. And, of course, we'll see where things will go for playoffs coming up here. But we want to appreciate y'all coming out here because y'all came out in force today. It was phenomenal to have y'all out here for this really important game right here for both of these teams. And the fact that we went to a map 5 could not have asked for anything more. So everyone out there, I thank y'all for being here. Have yourselves a fantastic night. We have 1 more game coming up tomorrow. And after that, it's the Faceit League playoffs. So keep supporting Tier 2. Keep supporting all these amazing players, team coaches, everyone who does what they can to keep this Tier 2 scene going. So have yourselves a good night. We'll see you tomorrow for some more Faceit League action.